a fallen powerhouse in the ACC. Every single year, the Florida State Seminoles used to be national title contenders, producing NFL talent every single year, left and right at every single position you could think of. But after back-to-back seasons where they went 2-10 and 5-7, they have brought in a new coach here to rebuild this program, rebuild a new identity, and get the Seminoles back to the old days where they used to be national title contenders every single year. But in order to rebuild this roster, we have to take a look at what we're given here in season one. And it starts off with a decent team. Definitely one of the worst teams that Florida State's ever had, but it is manageable, and we should be able to rebuild this program fairly smoothly and fairly early. As it starts here with our best player, Deuce Robinson, the star receiver, who might go off to the draft next year, so we're going to have to find his replacement quickly. But not only that, we have a ton of seniors on this roster at very important positions, including the quarterback. For this season, we're going to have transfer from Boston College, Tommy Castellanos, at our quarterback position. A very fast quarterback, a very mobile quarterback who can find his reads. Should be solid for us this season, but definitely not our future. And even the guys behind him aren't looking too good, don't have the greatest of dev traits, so we're going to have to bring in new guys. But in order to see how far this team can really go, we have to take a look at our schedule to see who will play. And we start off hot in week one, home against the top 10 team in Alabama. Then we get an FCS, a bye week, going into a Kent State, our final non-conference game of the season. Then we go play at Virginia, home versus a top 12 Miami team, home versus Pittsburgh, at Stanford. Then we get another bye week at the midpoint of the season. Then we turn around, play Wake Forest at home, a top 7 Clemson team at their place. Then we get a final home game of the season, home versus Virginia Tech. Then we have back-to-back away games at NC State and our final rivalry game of the season, a top 15 Florida team. A very tough schedule for us, but we do get to play 3 games this season. All 3 of those games will be rivalry games. Here, week 6 versus Miami, week 11 versus Clemson, and week 14 versus Florida. We will jump in and play those games every single season. All 3 of those games we will always jump into. Still going to be very tough games for us throughout this rebuild. Looking good for us, but we've got to set up our recruiting board and jump in and get this season rolling. Now, before we get into this rebuild, I have to set some goals for myself. The first one, the obvious one. We have to win a national championship. It's been over a decade at this point since Florida State held that trophy, so we've got to bring it back home. The second one, we need a Heisman Trophy winner. The last time that Florida State had the Heisman winner was Jameis Winston. We need to bring that trophy back home, so at some point in this rebuild, we are going to have a Heisman Trophy winner. Now, there is a restriction. We're only going to have 6 years to complete both challenges. In this 6-year window, we're going to need both a national championship and a Heisman winner. It should be doable, and we have 6 years to do it, get it done, and come home with both trophies. Now, I've got to set up my board, and we're going to jump into week one. Now, heading into week one here against number 9 ranked Alabama. Unfortunately, we cannot jump in and play this game, but Florida State did win this game in real life. So maybe we can get a stroke of luck here and get a similar result to that game. But other than that, we've got our recruiting board set up here, going after nothing but 5 and 4 stars, looking for some quarterbacks to replace Castellanos, running backs, receivers, edge rushers, offensive linemen, linebackers, and defensive help. Everything you can think of, we're going after it. We need to revamp and rebuild this team as fast as possible to go off and win a national championship. So it should be a good season for us. Look to land a ton of recruits this year, but we've got to jump in and sim to our first rivalry game of the season, which will be against a ranked Miami team. Now, heading into week 6 here is our first of 3 rivalry games on the season, and this one is against a top 10 team in the Miami Hurricanes. Gonna be a tough week for us, looking to get a top 10 win on the season, as we are 3-1 so far. Taking a look here, we unfortunately didn't get the win in week one. We lost by only 3 points to a now seventh ranked Alabama team. We would end up getting a huge win in back-to-back games against FCS and Kent State. And then we would end up holding Virginia's offense to only 6 points at their place, getting a 20-6 victory heading into this week 6 game. Now, we do have some recruiting updates. Unfortunately for us, we haven't landed anybody yet, but we do have 4 players on visit this week. One of those players being this 5-star receiver here, soon to commit to either us or LSU, but if we can get a win here against Miami, we are likely to lock him up. Now, we do have 3 defensive players on visits, but this is the most important player in that 5-star receiver. But in order to see who's going to commit to our school next week, we've got to jump in and play this Miami Hurricanes team. And heading into this game here against Miami, this game is the first game that we get to jump into this season, our first rivalry game of this season, and our first rivalry game of this rebuild. It's going to be a good one. Miami's a top 10 team, much better than us in the overall department, but we need this win this week. With 4 recruits on visits, 4 top recruits on our board, we need this win. A solid drive here for us. Looks to end in points, but we've got to convert this third down. We're going to go back to the run game here. A beautiful block up the middle from our O-line gets us into the end zone. 2nd and 9 for Miami. 3 receivers bunched to the left, maybe going with a screen here to Malachi Toney. They are going to go with an RPO, but that's in the end zone for a touchdown as we predicted it. But Miami converted. 2nd and goal now from the 3. 1 minute and 2 seconds left on the clock. We're going to go with a handoff here and a beautiful running lane up the middle. We're into the end zone for a touchdown. Sawchuk with his 2nd. We were able to hold Miami on defense, able to drive down here on offense, looking to take a 17-7 lead here before the end of half. 10-point lead. Miami still trying to keep things open, trying to keep things moving here on first down. 1st and 10, they're going to go back to the pass, and our man coverage got absolutely destroyed. Miami switched things around, and our man coverage signs got messed up. Miami's defense coming up strong there on that drive. Forces out the field goal team, and we'll take a 6-point lead. As we approach the end of the third quarter here, we're going to get one more play off, this time with Sawchuk at the hands of the quarterback. We're going to keep it with Sawchuk. A direct snap, a ton of broken tackles. A snap straight to Sawchuk, goes to the end zone for 6. Nothing but passing plays for Miami to start this drive off. It looks like they might go back with a run, but nope, they're going with a pass. A slant over the middle is a touchdown. And nothing but passing plays for Miami on this drive. Carson Beck, well over 300 yards now, as they are picking apart our passing game defense. As it's another dump off here to Fletcher, and Miami's going to take their first lead of the game. Looking to take a field goal to take the lead here in this rivalry game, as it squeaks in, and we've got a 30-28 lead. Miami slowly realizing that their chances of winning this game are slowly slipping away. 3rd and 10 for Miami. Dropping back the pass once again. We slowly close up this gap, and a sack of Carson Beck. Our first sack on the game. Miami's out of timeouts. The clock is rolling down. 5 seconds left. They have to go to the end zone here. It doesn't look like they have any deep balls lined up, and Carson Beck's going to run this game out with a run of himself. And Florida State gets the rivalry win against the top 10 team. A huge game for us, as 4 players were on visit, and they all just saw a fantastic performance from this team. And after that huge rivalry win in Week 6 versus a top 10 Miami team, we would get all 4 of those recruits to come to our school. This 5-star receiver, 5-star linebacker, 4-star corner, and 4-star safety, all on that Week 6 visit, decided to come to Florida State after that huge win. But they were joined by a 5th linebacker here. He decided to come to this school. Even though he wasn't on the visit, he still enjoyed our school a ton. So that's a huge get for this team going into next season, as it's already 5 recruits and 2 5 stars. Now, there is more on the way. We've got a ton of guys here who have us in our top 5, a ton of guys who have us first on their board who should be coming to this school here in the next couple weeks. But we've got to jump in to our next game at the midpoint of the season, week 11, versus the Clemson Tigers. Now, as we reach the midpoint here in the season, week 11 versus a top 18 Clemson team. We're currently 5-3 on the season, looking to get our first bowl game appearance, hopefully with a win here against the Clemson Tigers. Now, we do have one quick update with recruiting, as we ended up getting this 4-star gem receiver to commit to our school not long after that win against Miami. So it's still looking good for us. And on top of that, this 5-star quarterback here, we just have a little bit of influence left to go before he joins our class as a 5-star here. We've got a couple of other players here who are close to committing to our school, as well as some extra 3-stars who should be able to make an impact in the coming years. So things are going well so far, but we've got to jump in and play the Clemson Tigers and look for our second rivalry win on the season. Now, heading into this game here against a top 20 ranked Clemson team, it's going to be a tough game. Should be a good game, though. But our main focus of this game is to contain their star quarterback, Cade Klubnik. He's going to be a problem for us, but if we're able to keep him in the backfield, keep him from scrambling out, making deep throws down the back of the field, we should be able to come out with a win against the top 20 team. A very nice play on first down brings up 1st and 10 inside Clemson territory now. We'll get handed off to Sawchuk. He's got blocks up the middle. He's got fantastic blocking, and we're into the end zone in 3 plays. Clemson now. 4th and goal. They might go with a QB sneak here or just a halfback draw to try and punch their ticket in, and that's exactly what they'll do as Randall takes it in for 6, and Clemson looks to tie the game at 7. Our first red zone trip of this game brings up 1st and goal from the 8. We'll go with a handoff here to Sawchuk. He's got a ton of speed to the outside, touchdown. We take our lead back as we look to take a 14-7 lead here in this rivalry game. 3rd and 12 now for our offense, looking to find our way into the end zone here before end of half. We'll drop back with Castellanos. We might have a man over the middle. Touchdown. A beautiful passing touchdown there for Tommy Castellanos with 24 seconds left on the clock. 3rd and goal for Clemson, looking to make it a 1-touchdown game. They'll go with another pass. Nothing seems to be open, but then something opens up, and it's a touchdown for Clemson here before the end of the half, as they'll make it a 1-touchdown game. And after a boneheaded interception, gave Clemson a red zone chance, and it looks like they're going to get 3 extra points before the end of the half that they didn't deserve. Gavin Sawchuk over 103 yards rushing on this game, and we're going to give it right back to him with another run. He's got a huge running lane for his 3rd touchdown of the game. What a game for him as we're rolling here in Death Valley. A great catch there. We'll give him a fresh set of downs now across midfield inside the 40. They're going to go with an RPO here. He breaks the first tackle, able to find a ton of space on the outside, and he might be too fast for us to catch as Clemson's back into the end zone once again here for their 3rd touchdown of the game. 1st and 10 now for our offense. We're going to go with play action. And then we're going to try and find a man downfield. Are we able to get it to him? What a ball there from Castellanos. Caught by Boggs. He breaks a tackle. And after Clemson's touchdown, we respond with a 1-play touchdown. That puts Wesco Jr. over 130 yards receiving. They're going to move Randall over from the right to the left in the backfield. But they're going to go with a passing play here. Looking for somebody to get open. They're going to the end zone for their 4th touchdown of the game. Their 4th passing touchdown as they keep clawing back after we score. We'll get a chance here to return it with Singleton Jr. As beautiful blocks, he finds a hole. Singleton Jr.'s got one man to beat. Is he able to go to the end zone? Does he have enough speed? And a kickoff touchdown as Clemson keeps folding as they can never stop us after we score. 1st and 10 for Clemson. We're going to change some things around here. Try and keep Klubnik in the backfield. He's going to go with a pass here, and he might have a man downfield as that's a beautiful ball for Klubnik. And as soon as we score, Clemson responds with another touchdown. 3rd and 6 for our offense, looking to keep the chains moving. And we might find it there. A perfect play to Lofton for another touchdown, and we're going for 50 points against the Clemson defense. 1st and 10 for Clemson. Now down by 11 points in this game. They're going to need a miracle here inside 5 minutes. They're going to start with a passing play, and they're going to find a man on a comeback route there. As he spins out of another tackle, we've got one man back there. He breaks another tackle, and this might be the craziest Heisman game I've ever seen in my life, as Clemson might put up 50 points of their own. 3rd down and 5 yards to go. The game could end here on this play. We're going to drop back to pass with Castellanos, dump it off to Robinson. Is he able to find the 1st down? And he will. And that should do it here in Death Valley as we put up 50 points on Clemson and we just survive 50-45. A beautiful game, the craziest Heisman difficulty game I've ever seen, is an absolute thriller. And what a huge win for us, as we should be expecting more recruits next week. And we're going to head there to the Florida game where we'll jump in and see if we can get 3 rivalry wins on this season. Now, after a huge and crazy victory in Death Valley against the Clemson Tigers, we have gone on to the Florida game where we are now a ranked team. We are currently 8-3, 6-2 in conference play after back-to-back wins. And now we are the 19th ranked team in the country with some extra recruits on our squad, as we ended up getting the 5-star quarterback the very next week and this 5-star receiver soon after. So our class is slowly starting to climb up in the ranks, and we've got a couple of more guys down here looking for a new running back, a new offensive lineman, and some defensive help, as well, unfortunately we'll lose this guy and maybe this guy as well. But we still should be able to fill in those holes in the transfer portal if they don't come to this school. But all that matters right now is this Florida game, going to 9-3 on the season and looking to get our 3rd and final rivalry win on this season. The 3rd and final rivalry game of this season, this time as a top 20 ranked team against the Florida Gators. The rivalry matchup that really, really matters in this series, as obviously it's the battle for Florida. Looking for a huge win to get us to 9 wins in our first season against this Florida team that's been struggling all season. So hopefully we can take advantage of their lackluster defense and walk out of here with a win. Florida with a solid start to their drive. It looks like it's going to end in a field goal, as that ball is right down the middle. Another 3rd down here for Florida in this game. 3rd and 9 from the 35, probably within field goal range, but it's still a little dicey. They're going to go with a dump off to the tight end. He's able to break another tackle, as Florida coming out here hot to start this game, as they're already looking to take a double-digit lead. 3rd and goal for our offense. We're going to try and get a few yards here, but it looks like we can't change the play up, so we're going to drop back to pass. We're going to scramble out of the pocket here with Castellanos, and they're not able to catch him, as we're going to respond to Florida's touchdown with a touchdown of our own. 2nd and goal for our offense. Looking to get into the end zone here. We'll drop back to pass, try and find somebody to get open. We might have our running back out of the backfield for a touchdown, as Florida looks to make it a 1-point game with a field goal here before the end of the half. Does their kicker have the leg? It looks like he does, but he hits the post and it goes in. Even though we had 46 seconds left, we were able to drive down the field and get into field goal range. And with 4 seconds left, we look to take our 4-point lead back with a field goal. And that should be enough to make it a 4-point game. Florida's offense now comes back onto the field after the turnover on downs. Looking to climb their way back into the game. They're going to start with play action. Nothing seems to get open, but then a deep shot down the field is open, and a good 4th down stop from Florida puts them back into the end zone on one play. Florida's offense will get a chance here to take a 2-score lead in this game. As they burned our DBs last time, will they look for the same here as they'll go with a play action? Look for somebody to get open. They might have the burn once again, as this is just embarrassing for our defensive backs. 2nd and 5 for Florida. This is likely the last play of the third quarter. See if they try to find their way to the end zone. They'll go with a handoff to Ball, and we get pancaked, and he's into the end zone as Florida is dismantling us here in the second half as we cannot find a stop. And they'll look to take a field goal here. 4th and 10, Florida looks to go up by 20, and it's right down the middle. This game at this point is all wrapped up and over with as Florida looks to put 40 points on our defensive head as that field goal is good. And as we head to the end of the game here, an absolute domination for Florida as our defensive backs got exposed in this game. And Tommy Castellanos had one of the worst games from a quarterback that I've ever seen in this game, as he just could not place the ball and get it into the hands of our receivers. But that doesn't take credit away from DJ Lagway and Florida's offense, as that's an unfortunate way to end our season, as we'll end at 8-4 heading into our bowl game. Heading into conference championship week, somehow we made it here, playing against the number 3 team in the country in the Duke Blue Devils, who are currently 11-1 and 8-0 in conference play. Now, we somehow made the conference championship after we went 8-4 and 6-2 in conference. Now, we do have a worse record than Miami, but we made it here because of that win that we had in that rivalry game earlier in the season. And somehow the rest of the ACC wasn't able to get it done. So somehow, some way, we are in the ACC championship in our first season. So the only other thing to figure out if we have a chance of making the college football playoff is jumping in and watching the final few minutes of this game to see if we have any miracles left in us. Now, heading into this conference championship game against the Duke Blue Devils, I don't have much faith in trying to come out of this game with a dub, but there's always a chance. We're not going to be able to have any impact on this game, so we're just going to sim to the final few minutes, but we're going to see if we can get it done against this Blue Devils team. Now, jumping into this game here against Duke, the ACC championship here in the final 3 minutes of the game. We're only down by 7 points, but that's going to make it a lot worse as Tommy Castellanos goes down for a sack. And this game was close for a little bit. We had it to a 1-point game heading into the fourth quarter, but back-to-back field goals from Duke made this game a little bit closer. Tommy's going to have to get it done in a little bit of a tougher situation now inside 3 minutes. They're going to go with a handoff to Sawchuk, but he only gets 3 of those yards back. The biggest third down here for us this season, 3rd and 13 with our season on the line. They're going to motion running back out to the left, but it's another sack as Duke is making it impossible for us to get anything going on offense. And that's going to hit the 2-minute warning. And coming out of the 2-minute warning, it looks like they're going to go for it. 4th and 20. Castellanos is dropping back to pass. He's going deep. He's got a wide open Deuce Robinson. No way that just happened. As on 4th and 20, Tommy Castellanos converted to the star receiver Deuce Robinson, who's likely trying to get more NFL film to increase his stock, but that's another drop over the middle. Once again, Tommy Castellanos going to have to make magic as he's going to his man Deuce Robinson once again, but it's batted down. Right now, in Tommy Castellanos' mind, he's just assuming that Deuce Robinson's down there somewhere as he's dropping back to pass, looking for him once again, but a pick. As the story of our season is Tommy Castellanos throwing picks, and that's how our season will come to an end as Duke will get their 12th win on the season. They'll likely just run the clock out here as there is still a little bit of a chance left here with 3 timeouts left in our pockets. As that's not a good first play as they already get 8 yards there. An interesting game that was close at some points, but Duke was really holding on to the lead for most of this game. And it looks like they'll come out on top as an RPO gets the first down, and that will likely end our season. As we do have our bowl game left, we don't know who will play yet, but our playoff chances will come to an end with this final rush here. As why not let him go to the end zone as he's pushed out of bounds and we take the timeout anyway. Will Duke go for the touchdown? And it looks like they won't, as they'll take a knee, take us to the end of the game, and we'll see you in the bowl game. As it looks like they'll just have to keep going. Instead, they're actually going to go with a rush here, maybe. Instead of taking knees to end the game, it looks like they're just going to try and run the ball into the end zone and get some extra points. A handoff to Shepard, who breaks the tackle, but he's unable to go anywhere. And there it goes. The end of the game's coming up. Duke will let the seconds run out here as we'll fall to 8-5 on the season. Duke will go to 12-1, make their way into the playoffs as we'll head into our bowl game at 8-5, looking to get our 9th win on the season. Now heading into bowl week here, we ended up getting into the Pop-Tarts Bowl against 8-4 TCU. We're trying to hire some staff this week after we fired both coordinators who both didn't have fantastic seasons and weren't just fit for our program. So we're going to try and get some new guys in here. But we're going to sim to next week, see the results, and then after that, we're going to head into the offseason where we really round out this team. Now, heading into the second bowl week, we would end up getting the win against TCU. A pretty disappointing game from both sides, as we would end up getting 3 touchdowns and holding TCU to 2 field goals and a touchdown, as the game would end 21-13. A pretty solid game, disappointing for both offenses, but we do end the season with a win. But we've got to head into the offseason where we will open up the transfer portal, bring in new guys who will help this roster into next season. So we're going to go ahead and sim to the transfer portal. Now, heading into the first week of off-season recruiting here, I want to first take a look at the draft results, as we only had one player get drafted, a star defensive tackle in the 4th round, Darrell Jackson Jr. Now, this is unfortunate that we only had one player drafted, but this is good because that means that we kept Deuce Robinson. The star receiver did not want to go off to the NFL this season. He wanted to stay for one more year and develop and become the best receiver in college. So we get to keep him as our star receiver on the outside, and so we got to bring in a new one to be that wide receiver 2 on the outside, on the other side, to give him a complimenting receiver. But that's based on how good our transfer portal is. I've got a couple of players here on the board, mostly 4 stars with a couple of 3-star backups who, if they come into our program, will likely be star backups for us. But we've got a ton of speed here with running back and receiver, offensive linemen who are going to be good, some edge rushers, defensive tackles, and the big thing, the defensive backs. Our defensive backs, our entire secondary was some of the worst in all of college football. So we're going to have to get that fixed in this transfer portal. So we've got all this set up, and we're going to sim to week 4 of off-season recruiting, where I'll show you guys how much we improved this team through the transfer portal. And after 4 weeks of off-season recruiting, I've built a board of 28 total recruits, a ton of 5 stars, a ton of 4 stars, and a couple of 3 stars just to round out the roster. Now we got everybody in our transfer portal board except for a linebacker who's just a 3 star linebacker with normal dev. So it sucks, but we have a ton of players to replace him. And in the case of recruiting classes in totality, we are the number 3 ranked class in the entire country with 4 5 stars, 17 4 stars, and 7 3 stars. So we should be able to have a good turnaround this season, and this team should be well on their way to a successful run here in 2026. So we're going to go ahead and jump into season 2. Now, as we head into season 2 here, we've got to start off by taking a look at our schedule. And I want to know which schedule maker hates Florida State because they give us 2 of 3 out of conference games against top 12 opponents. Starting off, we've got the kickoff game versus a 12th ranked Oklahoma team. Then we get a group of 5 team in New Mexico State, but then we got to go play at number 3 Alabama. A crazy out of conference schedule that is going to be one of the toughest that I've ever seen. Then we start conference play with at Louisville, home versus a rival Clemson, which we'll jump in and play. Then we get a bye week heading into a Miami game, which we'll jump in and play that one as well. Then we have home versus Virginia, at 21 ranked Pittsburgh, home versus NC State, at Boston College, home versus 25th ranked SMU, and then home for our final rivalry game of the season against Florida. Should be a very interesting season. A ton of ranked teams, a crazy out of conference schedule, but we've got to take a look at the team that we're going to do it with. Obviously, super impressed with how well the upgrades went. As we're up to a 99 overall, and we've got better players at every single position. Transfer from Georgia here, 88 overall quarterback, sophomore. He'll be back this year, probably next year, maybe his senior year. He's going to be fantastic for us. The running back room also got upgraded. Sawchuck's up to an 88, and we brought in transfer Hollywood Smothers, who's going to be the starter this season, along with Sawchuck. They're going to be great. Receiver room as well, much improved. We brought in some backups here for Deuce Robinson. Should be a good room. Tight end room, the same. Offensive line room, much improved. Defensive line, much improved. Defensive tackles, same with them. Linebackers is probably our weak spot as we only have one player over an 85 at the linebacker position, but we should be fine. And now the defensive backs. Much improved from last season as we only had one player above 85 in the defensive secondary. Now we have more than 3. Should be good for the secondary as well as the safeties. 90 and a 92. So we should be good in the secondary. However, if there are any injuries, it could blow up our secondary. But it's a very nice team this season. We should be much better than we were last year, and we were a 9-win team last year. So we got to jump into this season. I'm going to set up my board, and we're going to sim to week 1 where we play 12th ranked Oklahoma. Now, as we head into week 1 of the 2026 season, season 2 of this rebuild, we're obviously playing a 12th ranked Oklahoma team who ended up getting a win in week 0. But I've got to show you guys my recruiting board. As this season, we're going for heavy hitters. We had a solid recruiting class, which was 3rd ranked last year. But now we're going for the big heavy hitters here in this class. 5-star quarterback, some running backs, wide receivers, a little bit of offensive line help, defensive line, linebackers, and secondary help. All 4 and 5 stars, most of them gems. So it's a huge class that we have set up here. A ton of recruiting battles are going to be going on this season. But we've got to see who we get in the end. But the big thing is we got to play this game versus Oklahoma, and then we're going to sim to the conference games where we'll take a look at how we do in the non-conference. Now, after 4 weeks of simming games, we are currently 4-0 and the number 4 team in the entire country. All of our wins, except for the game versus Alabama, have been close, as we had a 4-point win versus Oklahoma, a 7-point win versus New Mexico State, and then we won 41-17 against Alabama. I don't know what happened between these games and the Alabama game, but all of a sudden we just dismantled Alabama. But then we would go play at Louisville the very next week and get a 3-point win heading into this Clemson game. So it's very close games. We could be 1-3 right now, but we've won all the close games. And now I have a quick update on recruiting, as we haven't landed any recruits yet, but we're in a ton of battles here, as we should be starting to land some recruits within the next couple of weeks. A ton of guys are in their top 3 and their top 5. So commits are going to be showing up here in the next couple of weeks. But now we have to head into the Clemson game and play this rivalry game, looking for our 5th win on the season. Now, heading into this game here against Clemson, this time as a top 5 team in the country, currently at number 4. For the first time this rebuild, we're looking to go undefeated, as we are currently 4-0, looking for our 5th win on the season. But there's still a ton of games left. There's still a ton of time for a slip up. So we got to worry about getting this win here at home first, the Clemson Tigers. A solid drive there brings up 4th and 9. Here to take our first points of the game, take the first lead of the game, as that might be a miss, but it just squeaks in. 1st and 10 now for our offense, looking to take a double-digit lead here in this game. We're going to start with a Hollywood Smothers run, and he might get it on one play. Touchdown, Florida State. We're taking a 10-0 lead. Clemson trying to get into the end zone here with 2 minutes left in the first half. They're going to drop back to pass. They're going deep to the end zone, and it's a touchdown for Clemson as they respond to our touchdown with a touchdown of their own. After Clemson's touchdown, we're able to drive down the field, and we're looking to take 3 points here before the end of the half as that squeaks in. Clemson on 4th and 1 is looking to take the field goal, make this a 3-point game once again. And that ball looks like it's just squeaking in for 3. Clemson gives us another life here after the offsides penalty. 3rd and goal, we're going to drop back to pass once again. We're going to try and find a man in the end zone. That's Jace Brown for the touchdown, as we're going to take our double-digit lead back. Another poor rush for Clemson there. Brings up 3rd and 8. Needing something downfield, or maybe a drag route that gets them into open space. They're going to drop back to pass. They're taking their deep shot here. It's broken up and intercepted by Earl Little. A tipped ball caught by Earl, and we're going to get the ball back. Now, after the interception, we drove down the field but ended up getting pushed backwards, and now we're forced to take a field goal here, as this should give us a 23-10 lead. Hollywood Smothers crawling his way over 210 yards rushing, as now we're 1st and goal from the 1. We're looking for an end zone shot here, as we might have Jace Brown again for another touchdown. And this game's all but wrapped up. Rocco Beck has had a pretty poor game here so far, but he is over 250 yards passing. But he's got more interceptions than touchdowns. 2nd and 7, he's dropping back to pass. He's going with 4 verts. They're going to the end zone. And it's a touchdown as we get mossed. And after a pretty eventful game where Clemson did nothing in the first half, they struggled a lot in the second half. They had a chance there at the very end with the onside recovery, but it's all for nothing as we get another ranked win here in this rebuild, this time against Clemson, and we should be climbing into the top 3 as we head on through ACC play, where we'll jump in at the next game, which will be after our bye week against Miami. Now, heading into week 7 here against a top 11 Miami team. We are going to jump in and play this game, but I have a quick update on recruiting as we're starting to land some recruits. This 4-star athlete here and then a ton of defensive players in this four-star linebacker, another four-star linebacker, four-star corner, and four-star safety have all committed to this school with a ton of guys who have us in first place or their top 5 along the way. Now, we did have a bye week last week, so there was no change to our overall record, but we did move up one spot to the number 2 spot after being ranked number 3 last week. But we've got to keep our undefeated season going by playing at Miami in what should be a very tough game. Now, heading into this game here against Miami and what should be the best team that we face all season, at least on paper, as they are up to a 91 overall, and they're the highest ranked team that will play this season. So it's going to be a tough game no matter what. But it is our second rivalry game of the season, and we need to keep our undefeated season alive. Back-to-back negative plays on second and third down is going to force a Miami field goal here on 4th and 18, and they'll take a 3-0 lead. A solid tackle there on 1st and goal brings up 2nd and goal from the 3 now. Miami looking to take a double-digit lead. They'll hand it off to Pringle as he hurdles a man for fun into the end zone, and Miami is looking to take a double-digit lead here. A blitz there from Miami on 2nd down is going to bring up 3rd and goal. Still looking to punch our ticket as we're going to motion receiver into the backfield across to the left. He's going to move back to the right, and then we're going to drop back to pass. Looking for somebody to get open here. We're going to have to throw it away. And it's intercepted. The ball was thrown away into the hands of a defensive tackle, and he might have a thick 6 as he runs all the way for a touchdown, and this game is just falling out of our hands. 2nd and goal now after a 2-yard gain. Looking to just go with runs here, not risking a pick 6. We'll go with Smothers, touchdown. Miami with a ton of efficient passes here, as it's an average of 9 and 10 every play. This time they'll go with an RPO and a missed tackle there, another missed tackle, and he's going to the end zone as we cannot stop Miami here as this game's falling apart. Poor run blocking there on 2nd down, pushes us backwards a yard. Brings up 3rd and 3 now. We'll go with a handoff to Smothers. He's going to go to the end zone for a touchdown as we respond to Miami's touchdown with a fantastic drive of our own. Miami now starts this drive with fantastic field position after some horrible 4th down blocking, and they might just have a touchdown on the first play as this game is falling apart. Back here inside the 10-yard line for our offense. We're going to drop back to pass, and we might have Robinson in the end zone for a touchdown as we're slowly clawing our way back into this game. A 4th down conversion for our offense gets us inside the Miami 10 here, and we'll start with a run here to Smothers as great blocking up the middle as he looks for his 3rd touchdown of the game, and we're within 3 points of Miami's lead. Looking to take our first lead here in this game. We're going to go with a pass here on an RPO to Pittman Jr. for a touchdown as we take our first lead here in this game. Miami has tried to go with back-to-back screens on back-to-back plays. Both were blown up, and now it's a 4th down for the game. They're going to drop back to pass. They're going to the end zone for a touchdown. Here on 4th and 4, after Miami's timeout to ice our kicker to tie this game up here before the end of the game. And it looks to just squeak in. Does it have enough? And it does, as it's a 38-point game with 28 seconds remaining. Here on the first drive of overtime, Miami's looking to punch their ticket into the end zone. They're going to go with a pass, and it's a slant for a touchdown as Miami takes the lead here on the first drive of overtime. After the pass interference call, we'll have a chance 1st and goal. It'll be Smothers to take the ball, but we'll hand it off to Sawchuk, who gets his first carry into the end zone for a touchdown, and we'll look to tie the game up. Miami looking to get a rivalry win here in overtime as they're looking to take a field goal for the win. Their kicker, it's up, and it's just going to squeak in as Miami gets an overtime win And we're going to lose our first game on the season. And now we're going to sim to the midpoint of the season where we'll see how we do after this Miami game. Now, after that tragic loss to Miami in overtime, we would end up simming past midseason to this Florida game, which is our final game of the season, unless we make the playoffs in the ACC championship game. But it's a ranked opponent, another rivalry game in which we have to win this game. But somehow we have jumped all the way up to the number one team in the country after teams like Georgia, Texas, Duke, and Miami all had losses throughout the season. So even after that Miami loss, we've jumped all the way back up here. But that also means that we've landed a couple extra recruits. Now, we are in some battles for this five-star gem quarterback, but we've gotten a ton of other recruits to come on down to this school while also losing a ton of recruits. We've lost multiple five stars on the offensive line and defensive line, but it's still fine. This team is still fantastic. Now, we should have an ACC championship appearance locked up here as we are currently 7-1, but we did lose to Miami, but we did beat Clemson. So we should have a title game locked up, a title game spot locked in. But things could change based on tiebreakers. But that doesn't matter if we don't win this game against Florida. So we've got to jump in and get a win against our rivals. Now, heading into our final regular season game of the season here against our rivals, a top 20 ranked Florida team. It's going to be a tough game, but playing at home should make it easier for us and much tougher for Florida, as we are the number one team in the country for the first time in this rebuild here in year two, and getting a win should be able to lock up our appearance in the ACC title game. First and goal for the Gators here, looking to take their first lead of the game, looking to score the first points of the game. And they might have it here with a drag over the middle as he breaks a tackle and is into the end zone. And the Florida Gators are going to take a lead here. First and 10 for our offense. I'm looking at that one-on-one to the left side here, and we might have it. If Puglisi's got enough arm on it, he's looking for Robinson, and a jump ball ends up in the end zone for a touchdown, and we look to tie the game up here. We'll come up here first and goal from about the 8, where we'll drop back to pass, looking for Deuce Robinson in the end zone for a touchdown, and we take the lead here. A drive that shaved a ton of time off the clock looks to end in points to take a double-digit lead here for the number one team in the country, as it's right down the middle. With 8 seconds left here in the first half, Florida's trying to find 11 more yards here to get into the end zone to make this a three-point game, and they might have it there, as our coverages were just not on par with what Florida had schemed up there. 3rd and 1 now. Looking to find the end zone for the first time this game for Smothers. So we're going to hand it off to him, and that's exactly what we'll get. The lane opens up, and Smothers walks straight into the end zone for a touchdown. Here on 3rd and 6 to start off this fourth quarter. We're going to look for Smothers here on a screen, as he's got a lot of running room, and we might as well just walk into the end zone for a touchdown. And this game's about wrapped up. Now, just before the 2-minute warning here, we're going to be faced with a 3rd and 15. We're going to see what the five-star has in the passing game. He's going to drop back to pass. We're going to throw it downfield, but it's picked off. A bad ball from me. Shouldn't have thrown it there, and it might be a pick six, as the freshman five-star with his first pass is going for a touchdown, but not the right way. As the freshman will take a knee, and that will take us to the end of the game as Florida tried to make a comeback after that pick six that shouldn't have happened, but that didn't affect us as we recovered the onside and went on to win the game. A 10-point win to end off our season before playoffs is a good run for us, and Hollywood Smothers stole the show with 166 yards rushing. But now we've got to focus on the possibility of making the ACC championship game. So we're going to sim to conference championship week and see if we made it. Now, heading into conference championship week here in year 2 of this rebuild, we are currently the number 1 team in the country going against number 4 ranked Clemson, a team that we beat earlier in the season, but a team that still is very capable of getting an upset win here. Now, even if we lose this game, we still should be able to make the playoffs, either as a 4 seed, still getting a bye, or maybe we fall as far as the 8th or 9th seed, still in the playoffs. But I will not be able to impact this game in any way, so the only thing I'll be able to do is jump in and watch the final few minutes of this game to see if we can pull out on top and keep our number 1 seed. Now, heading into this ACC championship here, this time, instead of playing Duke, we're facing off against Clemson, a team that we've already beat one time this season, but it's hard to beat a team multiple times in a season. So we still have to play our A game here, still have to play our best football, but we should be able to walk out of here with a win and the number 1 seed in the college football playoffs. And we'll jump in here, 2nd and 10 now, inside 4 minutes in the game. Florida State currently down by 3 points. Rocco Beck's dropping back, but a good wrap-up tackle there. A good tackle there from Blake Nicholson. Brings up 3rd and 7 now for Clemson. They've held the lead for most of this game, and 2 picks from our quarterback, as that's a beautiful ball down the middle of the field to get him across midfield. But 2 picks from Ryan Puglisi has really turned the tides here, and Clemson's just taking advantage of those issues. But now, Rocco Becht looking to take his team to an ACC title win. See how much time they're going to let waste off this clock here, as it looks like both teams are switching things around, and there's a flag as they do not get to snap off. After the miscommunication there, 1st and 10 for Clemson. 2 minutes and 37 seconds left in this game. Florida State has to get a stop. Rocco Becht's got a clean pocket, and that could have been picked off. That could have turned the tides in this game, but a dropped ball there gives Clemson extra life, but it does stop the clock as it falls incomplete. And Rocco Becht looks down the field, but he's going to take the dump off here to his running back, who's unable to get back to the 10, as it looks like they're going to be forced to go with a 3rd and 10 here. Florida State has 1 timeout left. This could be the end of the game if Clemson gets a 1st down. Rocco Becht going with a pass again over the middle of the field, but he's held short. 4th and inches. How will Clemson go for this as we hit the 2-minute warning? It looks like Clemson is going for a field goal to force Florida State to go for a touchdown, and it looks like that's right down the middle. And after the field goal, Florida State's offense will come out here looking for a touchdown. 4-down territory here, as they have to end up in the end zone here in the next 2 minutes. Clemson sending a blitz. He'll dump it off underneath, and that's a 1st down just shy of the 40. And Puglisi over 300 yards passing, but he does have those costly 2 interceptions. Clemson sending pressure again, but Puglisi scrambles out of the pocket, gets a 1st across midfield. A beautiful run there from him, and it looks like Florida State's hurrying things up, wanting to keep that 1 timeout remaining. This time they're going with a pass. They've got pressure in the backfield. He's going down the middle of the field. He hits his receiver, puts him just shy of 350 yards passing. But Florida State, with a minute left in this game, is already into the Clemson red zone. Now they have to find their way into the end zone for 6. He's going to the sideline, and he's able to get 2 yards there. Puglisi trying to find that clutch gene and take his team to an ACC title win, but he has no help in the back there as he's taken down for a loss. And with 40 seconds left, Florida State has 2 more plays to try and find some magic here. He's going to the sideline, but he's throwing it out of bounds. 1 play left in this game for Florida State. 1 more chance for an ACC title win. Puglisi's dropping back. He's got a man open, but he doesn't have it as that ball is dropped. And Florida State's going to lose off of Puglisi's 2 interceptions. And Clemson taking advantage as they'll win the ACC title game. And we will fall in the rankings and will fall in the college football playoff bracket. Now, heading into the college football playoffs here. Unfortunately, that loss to Clemson knocked us out of the top 4. And so we're going to be forced to play here in the first round. Luckily enough, we did get the 5 seed, so we are playing number 12 ranked TCU. But unfortunately for us, they have the Heisman winner on their team. Transfer quarterback from Texas A&M, Marcel Reed, went to TCU and took them all the way to the college football playoff. So now our first round matchup is against the Heisman winner, but we still have a 99 overall team, so we should be able to get an easy win here and move on to the next round. But the only way to find that out is by jumping into this game and watching the final few minutes to see if we can get it done. Now, heading into the first round of the college football playoff here, the first game is always played at home. So we have to play the Heisman winner and the TCU Horned Frogs here at our home grounds. So we should be able to get a win here as they are a much inferior opponent to us. But with a Heisman winner, you can do anything. Now, as we jump into this game here, unfortunately for TCU, they made it close early, but back-to-back touchdown drives for us really put this game away. And the failures that TCU had when it came to scoring in the fourth quarter, as they've been shut out here. But here in the final 2 minutes, we seem to just be running the ball out here. But it is fourth down. We're going to have to take a long field goal here to really put this game away. I don't know if our kicker has the strength for this, but that ball's up. And it's going to miss wide left. And TCU has a chance here with 36 seconds and no timeouts remaining. Down by 8 points here. TCU's going to have to find some magic left in their bag of tricks. Down by 8 points, Marcel Reed's going to go with the slant here. He breaks a first tackle, but I don't know if 7 yards is worth the amount of time that they're wasting on the clock here. Marcel Reed's going to go with the spike. And with 25 seconds left on the clock, TCU has to go 53 yards into the end zone and get the 2-point conversion. Here on third down, Marcel Reed trying to step up in the pocket, but he's pushed from behind by Kevin Wynn. A sack for him brings up 4th and 8, and TCU's season is on the line here. The Heisman winner looking to take his team farther in the playoffs, but a deep shot down the field is broken up. And finally, after a very sketchy 4th and final drive there, here in the fourth quarter, we'll take a knee and we will get our win here in the first round of the college football playoff, and we'll move on to the second round. Now, heading into the second week of the college football playoff here, we will be taking on another ACC opponent, this time the Duke Blue Devils, as they are the current 4 seed in the college football playoff. They also went 11-1. They didn't have to play in the first round, but us beating TCU has now put us up against them. As on the other side, Clemson will play number 7 Texas, Oregon will play number 6 Miami, and the winner of our game will play the winner of Georgia, Alabama. A very difficult playoff bracket, but we can't worry about that side unless we beat the Duke Blue Devils here in the second round. So we're going to jump in and watch the final few minutes of the Cotton Bowl. Now heading into the Cotton Bowl here against number 4 seeded Duke, a team that on paper isn't close to us. But in this game, they always seem to find their way to make something happen. One of the best teams in this game is now the team that we have to play here in the Cotton Bowl. So as long as we stick to our game and Puglisi doesn't throw any interceptions this week, we should be able to get it done here in the Cotton Bowl. And now our offense will come back out here after the timeout, looking to reach that 2-minute warning, looking to get well within field goal range so we can take a cheap field goal, a very short field goal, as Duke will use another timeout. As long as we can go up by 2 scores in this game, we should be able to walk home with a dub and advance to the next round where we'll either play number 1 Georgia or number 8 Alabama. Puglisi's going to keep this one, but he cannot get to the line as he's taken down for a loss of 1, and Duke will use their final timeout. One more guaranteed clock stoppage as the 2-minute warning is quickly approaching. But here on 3rd down, we're dropping back to pass a deep shot, and it's dropped. A reliable target all season just drops the ball, and it seems like Coach wants to go for it on 4th. Instead of taking the field goal, he's going to have Smothers take the direct snap. He's trying to get to the outside, and I don't understand that play call from Coach. If he just takes the field goal, we can go up by 10 points. But Coach wanted to go for it, and a direct snap is Duke's coming out firing with a 1st down there. Darian Mensah stayed at Duke as that will hit the 2-minute warning. As I was saying, Darian Mensah stayed at Duke for one more season, and he's looking to take his team beyond the Cotton Bowl as a rush there only gets a yard. Still trying to hurry things up here. And Mensah's dropping back to pass. He's going to the sideline where he finds a man who cannot get the 1st down marker. As Mensah's trying to get to 200 yards passing. But the main thing is he's trying to look for a touchdown here. He's dropping back once again, going to the right side of the field as he finds another man. Duke's across the 30 now. 30 yards to go for them to tie this game up. 1:17 left. Mensah's dropping back to pass once again. He has to get it out quickly as pressure was in his face, and he'll step out of bounds after 5 yards. Mensah's abilities starting to get going here. Here late in this game as everybody's starting to get a little tired. He'll dump it off to the running back on a screen who gets a 1st down, tries to spin out of 1 tackle, and Duke is into the red zone. As the clock approaches a minute here, Duke is within the red zone, trying to get a touchdown, but if they go too fast here, they could give Florida State, who has 3 timeouts, a little bit of time, and Mensah's going down. That's the last thing they needed. A loss of 7 yards forces Duke to hurry things up. And with their receivers far downfield, it's going to take a lot of time off the clock. But he's dropping back to pass. He's hit as he's thrown. He's able to complete it, and his receiver gets out of bounds as they're inside the 2. A beautiful ball from Darian Mensah. And Duke is just 2 yards away from tying this game up, and that's a touchdown ball. Duke drives all the way down the field after a 4th down stop. And with 38 seconds left on the clock, they're looking to tie this game with a PAT. Their kicker with the PAT of his life, and it's right down the middle. And we've got a tie game at 17. Ryan Puglisi trying to have the drive of his life here, looking for his moment as Hollywood Smothers is blown up in the backfield. And we'll take a timeout as Coach is trying to go downfield, but we don't want to fall just short to where we have Duke with the ball in their hands, as it's going to be a screen to Smothers. He's got a lot of speed. He gets those yards back that he lost. And with 27 seconds left, he runs out of bounds. 3rd and 6 for our offense. A handoff to Smothers. He finds a hole. He breaks a tackle. He's going to midfield, but he's stopped just shy of the 40. Hollywood Smothers back over 100 yards rushing on this game as we use our 2nd timeout. 20 seconds left. He's going downfield to a seam shot, and we're across midfield, across the 40, as we use our final timeout. And with 17 seconds left, Coach is bringing out the kicker. I don't know why he wouldn't try to get as close as he possibly can, but that kick is wide right. What are we doing? Second and 12 now. We need to play some stingy defense here. Keep Duke out of the end zone. Another RPO for a touchdown. A team looking to prove me wrong here. Puglisi here on third and 12. He does have one more down to work with, but they're sending a blitz. He's going with a shot to the end zone. He's got a wide open man for a touchdown. Fourth and goal. A field goal shot that goes right through. The ball is down. The kick is up. And it looks to be right down the middle. And we'll have 3 overtimes here in the Cotton Bowl. And now that we've reached the third overtime, it is just 2-point conversions until a team wins. Duke will start with a handoff, and they're into the end zone for a touchdown. Florida State now getting their chance. Hollywood Smothers is taking the snap. I don't know if I agree with this. They're going to hand it off to Sawchuk, who fights his way forward into the end zone. 8 overtimes here in the Cotton Bowl. What a performance from both teams. We're going with the dump off here, and we're finally in the end zone for a 2-pointer. Duke will get a chance to to tie the game here. They're going with the dump off, and the 2-pointer's good. Here in the 9th overtime of the game, easily the most in college football history. We are watching history being made as Mensa's scrambling out of the pocket, panicking, finding a man in his end zone for a touchdown. Florida State with Smothers in the backfield, their final chance to score here in this game. They're going to motion Sawchuk, a direct snap to Smothers, and our season is going to end after 9 overtimes here against Duke. What a game, what a season, and I'm sad that this is how it comes to an end. But after a college football record, 9 overtimes, our season is over. Now, after that heartbreaking loss in 9 overtimes to Duke, we have simmed to the transfer portal where we have set up our board full of mostly defensive players, but we've also given hours to 5-star recruits who we're still in battles for. And they're all extremely close. Maybe even as low as a centimeter of influence left for this 5-star gem. Same with this receiver. And it's even closer with this 5-star linebacker, as it looks like Oklahoma already has this dude locked in. But I guess there's just a little bit of space left for influence. Now we have set up our board with 2 offensive players, as we don't need much on offense. We have a ton of returning players, but the defense is a massive problem. We lost a lot of players to both the draft and the portal, so we've got a ton of spots to replace. Defensive line, linebackers, but mainly the secondary, as there's a ton of very good players in the portal that we could bring in, as well as a punter, but that's not a big deal. So we've got our board set up, but we also had a ton of players get drafted. We had our center go in the first, a ton of guys go in the later rounds as well. 2 in the second, 2 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth, and 2 in the seventh. So a ton of guys getting drafted. Our pro potential going sky high. But now we've got to sim to the end of the transfer portal to see how our team's going to look here after the recruiting cycle. Now, as we head to National Signing Day here, after the transfer portal, after the high school recruiting cycle's been up, we have landed a board of 34 players. But we only got 33 of those players to sign with our team, as unfortunately we lost this 5-star QB gem to Washington. This corner here, DJ Pickett, transfer is going to Florida, and this 97 speed safety wants to go to Georgia Tech. So unfortunately, we only got 31 of those guys on our board, but we've got 31 great players. And that class puts us at number 1 in the entire country with 7 5-stars, 11 4-stars, 12 3-stars, and a 2-star here who's a punter transfer with 94 kick power. So it's a very, very good class for us, the number one class in the entire country. So we should have a fantastic next season coming up here as we look for a national championship and even a Heisman winner if we can get that as well. But with that, we have to head into season 3. Now, as we head into season 3 here, we're going to start off by taking a look at this roster and how much it's improved since last season. Now, our team has stayed at a 99 overall as it can't go above, but all of our players on this team have improved dramatically. First, the quarterback we had last year, Ryan Puglisi, he's up to a 90 overall. It's the same as last year, but now he has much better physicals with platinum tier on time and gold tier off platform. Also, I know I didn't say this last time we looked at the signing day, but DeMontre Wayne, the 5-star gem, he ended up decommitting from Washington and joining Florida State here. He has star dev. He should be our quarterback after Curtin leaves. Our running backs here, Hollywood Smothers returned, and we had to upgrade a couple other players, but we have a very fast backfield here with 96 speed, 94, 96, and everybody else is above 90. Our wide receiver room, 93, 93, 89, 85, 85. A very fast receiver room, a very good receiver room. So we should be fantastic on offense this season. The tight end room stayed the same. Offensive linemen, all above 90 overall. So it's a very good offensive line this year, much improved. Our edge rushers, up to an 88 and an 87. They should be flying off the edge this year, getting in the backfield, sacking the quarterback very often. Our defensive tackles, similar to last year, but they all improved as we're up to 94, 91, and 91 there. Linebackers improved a little bit. All are in the mid to low 80s as we have an 87 here with 83 backups. The corner room took a bit of a step back, but we've got a ton of fast corners with 93 speed here, 94, 93. Here at safety, we improved a little bit, but we lost that high-end talent of the 90 overalls that we had last year, as we've got an 85 and an 84 here. So this team is very good. Should be much better this year on offense. Might take a step back on defense, but we still should be a very good team this year looking to win a national championship. But now we have to take a look at the schedule that we're going to face here with this team. And once again, we're playing a top 10 ranked team to start off the season here against Georgia at home. Then we have San Jose State and an FCS team to round out our non-conference schedule. Heading into a bye week and then our first rivalry game of the season, home versus a top 11 Miami team. Then we go play home versus Georgia Tech, at North Carolina, at our rivals Clemson, home versus Duke, home versus Pittsburgh, and then 3 away games to round out our season, at Cal, at Syracuse, and at our final rivalry game, a top 25 ranked Florida team. So it should be another great season for us. We should be finding our way into the ACC championship and the playoffs. But we've got to set up my board and sim to week 1 where we'll play the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, after setting up my board here, I've gone with a similar approach to what I've done in the previous 2 years. I'm going after the star players to fill in positions for seniors who are leaving. Every single spot is filled with 5 and 4 stars here, mainly focusing on the offensive line and the linebacker position as we have the most seniors leaving there. And then we have a couple extra 5 stars who might not get interest from other schools who we could bring in and they could be a star for this team in the future. But now we have to play the Georgia Bulldogs. So we're going to sim to the end of the non-conference games, and then we're going to see how we do. And after simming past the non-conference games, we would end up going 3-0, as we ended up barely beating Georgia in week 1 by 6 points. Then we would get 2 free games as we put up 45 points against both San Jose State and an FCS team. So pretty easy games there, decent games to get us started as we head into the conference schedule here, starting off with a first rivalry game of the season here against 7th ranked Miami. Well, we'll jump in and play the game. Our first rivalry game of the season. Our first rivalry game of year three, once again against a top 10 Miami team that on paper isn't as good as the previous two teams, as they have brought in another quarterback to be under center for them. But it's still a Miami team that is extremely dangerous. But we've got to keep our undefeated season going here as we have 4 5 stars on visit. A drive that looked promising for Miami at the start looks to end in 3 points as they're looking to get on the board here first. That kick is down and it squeaks in for three. A huge sack there on second down for Jarvis Boatwright. And now they're quickly going with a pass here, looking deep into the end zone. Their quarterback's trying to get out of the pocket, but it's broken up and it's intercepted on the line by Williams. Looking for the end zone here with 12 seconds remaining. Miami stacking the line here, likely to send pressure. They did, but we have a man in the end zone for a touchdown. And a flurry of turnovers from both teams somehow ends up in a Florida State touchdown. Finally, a chance for somebody to score here in this game. This time it'll be a field goal for us to take a 7 point lead. And that ball's drilled. A sack, a loss of five, now has Miami with their final play of the game. The final straw. Miami needs one play and it's deflected at the line. An ugly game from both teams is going to end 10-3 as we'll take a knee and get a win here in a rivalry game that should not have allowed us to win. But with 4 5 stars on visit, that is a huge win for us as we are going in to the rest of conference play undefeated. Now, after beating Miami in a very close and boring game, we would end up simming the next 2 weeks to this Clemson game where we would end up going 2-0 against Georgia Tech by a touchdown and by North Carolina by 5 touchdowns. Very successful weeks for us as now we're going against fifth ranked Clemson. Two 6-0 teams, two undefeated teams in conference play, looking to give the other their first loss on the season. Now, we do have a quick update on recruiting as we have landed a couple of recruits, two on the offensive line, two on the defensive line, two at the linebacker position, and two in the secondary. A very good start to our recruiting class as we have a ton of others on the way who have us first on their board, or if we're not, we're in their top five. So a very good start for us, but we've got to keep our undefeated season going here against the Clemson Tigers in Death Valley. Another rivalry game here in this rebuild. Another rivalry game between two ranked opponents, as this time we're both in the top five. Clemson, currently ranked at number five, and us, Florida State, currently ranked at number three in the entire country. We're both undefeated, 6-0 teams with high-powered offenses and extremely dangerous defenses. It's going to be a clash of the Titans, and the winner will end this game 7-0. First and goal here after a drive that's already taken 4.5 minutes. We're looking to end in the end zone here. We're going to dump it off here to the running back, Smothers, who ends up in the end zone for a touchdown as we take the lead here early. 3rd and 9 here for Clemson. They're going to go with the pass, try and find something on the outside. Instead, they're going to have a slant over the middle, and he might go for a touchdown. Here on 4th and 4 inside of the Clemson red zone, we're going for it on fourth. Dropping back to pass, we're going to have a running back out of the backfield. Chroma's wide open, and he's going to the end zone, and coach calls the 4th down touchdown. Here on 4th and goal, Clemson's going to look to take a field goal here to make this a 4-point game. Here on 4th and 10, Clemson taking a 60-yard field goal, and it's drilled. Here on 4th down, we're going to try and take our 50-yard field goal here before the end of the half. And it feels good, and it's right down the middle for a 4-point lead. 3rd and 3 here for Clemson. Gonna need to convert here. We're sending a blitz. They're going deep down the field, and that's another touchdown for Clemson. 1st and 10 here for Clemson. Cross midfield. They could take a double-digit lead here on this drive. They're going to go with a pass to the outside. The tight end's wide open. He's got more speed than our linebacker, and he's pushing forward for a touchdown. Now on 3rd and 10. We're within field goal range, but we need touchdowns here, as there's a million PIs on that play, but it's not called. So we're going to hand it off to Samuelson for the touchdown. A 54-yard try to tie this game up here in the fourth quarter. Does it have enough power? And it squeaks through to tie this game up. We're going to bring our kicker out here to take the long field goal to try and give us the lead. It feels good. Does it have the distance as it squeaks in and we take a 30-27 lead? "11 seconds left for Clemson. The ball is just shy of the goal line there, and they'll take it out here. He breaks one tackle, but not a second. Clemson has 8 seconds left here in this game to give themselves a shot to get within field goal range. They're looking deep. It's broken up at the line. Four seconds left. Likely the final play of the game for Clemson. They're going to drop back. They're looping a ball down the field, and it's going to be picked off by Lavalley, as we're going to get the win here in Death Valley and keep our undefeated season going, as a win versus Clemson will take us to 7-0 as we move on and we look forward to our final rivalry game of the season against the Florida Gators. Now, after that win versus Clemson, we would sim all the way to the final week of the regular season here against Florida. And like I said, we went undefeated as we would go on to beat Duke by 19, Pittsburgh by 38, Cal by 21, and finally Syracuse by 11. A huge 4-week stretch of going undefeated, as now with a win here versus Florida, we're already guaranteed to punch our ticket to the ACC title game, but we should be able to lock up a playoff spot and maybe even a first-round bye here with a win against Florida. Now, we have had some extra guys come in here, as we already have a very full class with some running backs, tight ends, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, corners, and free safety here. A ton of 5 stars, as we are currently ranked at number 1 in the entire country, currently beating out Georgia by 1 singular point. Now, that doesn't matter too much, but signing 8 5 stars for the future of this team is massive for us. But now we've got to jump into this game here against Florida and see if we can pull out a win for an undefeated regular season. Now heading into our final rivalry game of Season 3. Here in the swamp against the Gators. Looking to complete our undefeated regular season, just like Florida's looking to take it away from us. We're currently the number 3 team in the entire country, behind teams like Indiana and Oregon for the top 2 spots. But with a win here, we should clinch a college football playoff appearance. First and 10 for Florida. Looks like they're going to go with a keeper with Lagway. He has way too much running room there on the left side of the field. He's got one more safety to beat. He breaks a tackle, and he's going to the end zone for a Florida touchdown. 3rd and goal now. Going to try and let Smothers bully his way here into the end zone, as we'll hand it off to him, and he does exactly that as we're into the end zone looking to tie this game here at 7. The first play of the second quarter here for Florida, as it's going to start with a pass. They've got a seam shot down the field, and it's a touchdown for Florida. Third down now for our offense. Looking to get in the end zone here. It's going to be with a pass as we're going to throw it into the end zone and a dot to the tight end Helsley for a touchdown. As we approach the final 3 minutes of the first half, we're going to bring Smothers back into the game. We're going to hand it off to him as a beautiful running lane up the middle gets him into the end zone for another touchdown as we're going to take a 21-14 lead. The tight end for Florida already has 160 yards receiving as we are getting torched downfield by him, and they're going to go with play action. They're going to dump it off, and they're back into the end zone for a touchdown, looking to tie this game up at 21. Now on 2nd and 10, we're going to have Smothers take the direct snap here. We're going to motion Chroma over, and then we're going to fake it to him and let Smothers go. And here he goes as he's going for his third touchdown of the game. Here with 10 seconds left in the first half, Florida's not going to risk it, and they're just going to take their 3 points. The greatest day for Smothers in his college career as he's over 230 yards rushing with multiple touchdowns as we're going to get an undefeated season here in season 3. 12-0, perfect season. The rivalry game win here in the Swamp as he had 253 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. A perfect game from our offense, a slow game in the first half from our defense, but we're headed into the ACC championship with a perfect undefeated record. Now, after a huge win against the Florida Gators to complete our undefeated regular season, we will have a rematch here in the ACC championship against the team that we beat earlier in the season in the Clemson Tigers, who are currently 9-3, and their only conference loss was against us. So they're looking for revenge of their own. But we have no updates with recruiting as nobody else is committed. Our staff is going to stay the same. We're keeping the same coordinators. We're running it back. But now we've got to jump in to this ACC championship and see if we can hold our first round bye in the college football playoffs. Now, as we jump into the ACC championship here against the Clemson Tigers, a team that we beat earlier in the season, but this is still an extremely dangerous team. Even though it's at a neutral site and should be fair on both grounds, this team should not be taken lightly. But we've got to jump into the final few minutes of the fourth quarter and see if we can hold our own here against a top 25 team in Clemson. Now as we jump in here, currently winning 29-13. Clemson needs to find their way into the end zone twice and convert on both 2-point conversions, but that doesn't help their case as Peyton Lewis has been held to 35 yards rushing. And Clemson's going to start to hurry up their offense here, as with only 2 timeouts left, they're going to dump it off here to Lewis, who gets about half those yards back. And another hurry up here. Clemson still trying to find their way downfield as they're only at the 39. They are going with a pass here. He's looking deep down the field, but he's going to throw it off to Lewis, who gets a first, but that's all he'll get. As we've held Vizinia to only 200 yards passing here. He's dropping back once again. He's going to dump it off, but that doesn't get him anywhere. They're going to hurry up, but it's going to hit the 2-minute warning here as we'll take a stoppage here. Clemson currently down by 16 points. 2 timeouts left. Their offense needs to keep things rolling if they want a chance here in this game. A handoff gets blown up in the backfield. Goodbye, buddy, as he's held down. Back to the 43 as now they'll go with an empty backfield here. Needing to convert here. They're going to go with a pass. They've got a drag route over the middle, but they're going deep down the field, and the touchdown they're going to find as he's going a long way for a touchdown. Clemson's going for the onside, but it's hauled in, and as long as he doesn't fumble, this game should be close to wrapping up here. The ACC championship has slowly slipped out of Clemson's hands as Smothers hurdles a man, and they'll use a timeout. Smothers over 150 yards rushing as he's slowly making a case for the best running back in the entire country. And they're going right back to him. He's got a hole on the outside. He's got a first to about the 30. Clemson uses another timeout as he's flying down the field here over 160 yards. And we're going to take a knee here and wrap up this ACC championship game with a dub. And will head into the college football playoff undefeated 13-0 as we're going to be a top 3 team in the entire country. Looking to go for our first national championship here in this rebuild. Now, after beating Clemson in the ACC championship game, we would sim here to bowl week number 2 after we got a first round bye for going 13-0. And now here in the second round, we're going to be playing in the Peach Bowl here against 7th ranked Oregon. A very dangerous team, a team that could quickly end our season. But we've got to jump in here and see if we can get a win here in the Peach Bowl. Now heading into the Peach Bowl here against 7th ranked Oregon. Our first game here in the college football playoff, as we would end up getting a first round bye after an undefeated regular season. Now, even though we are the better team on paper, as we are a 99 overall, this Oregon team is still extremely dangerous. So this team cannot be taken lightly. So we have to come in here, play hard-nosed football, play our best game of the season, and walk out of here heading to the semifinals. Now we'll jump in here. Oregon currently down by 7 points, but they've got the ball here on a third down. 3.5 minutes left in this game. Dante Moore is going to drop back to pass. He's going over the middle of the field, but a good pass break up there brings up 4th. And now Oregon's going to bring out the punt team as they don't trust their kicker to hit a 60-yarder. Looking to pin us inside the 20, and that looks like a pretty solid punt there. And we'll start our drive from the 20. 3.5 minutes left in this game here for our offense. We're going to need to run out as much clock time as we can here, and a 5-yard run for Smothers is a good start, as he's up above 70 yards in this game. Looking to get above 100 here to try to ice the game, as this time Chroma's going to get about 3, and they're going to start using their timeouts here as Oregon. They understand that their time is slowly starting to run out, and they've got to get the ball back here quickly. It's going to be a late handoff to Chroma, and he's tackled in the backfield, as Oregon will use their second timeout, and we will bring out the punt team here. Good snap, as it looks like it's going to go beyond the 30, and it's going to be a fair catch, and Oregon's offense will come out here 1st and 10. A timeout remaining in their pocket, but under 3 minutes left on the game clock. They're going to motion a receiver inside, but then move him back out as Dante Moore's trying to roll to the right. He's going deep down the sideline, and he converts. A beautiful ball there to the sideline. And now just shy of the 40 here. Oregon back where they started when we jumped in. They're going to go with a handoff that gets about 6. Jordan Davison approaching 80 yards. A good play from him. Brings up 2nd and 4 as they're going 5 wide. Dante Moore's going with a slant over the middle. He's converting for a first inside the 25 now. And that will hit the 2-minute warning here, as they'll come back out here at about the 24, 1st and 10. Dante Moore's trying to direct some traffic here, calling out the coverages as he's going to make a change here at the line. It's going to be a handoff to the running back as he's trying to juke outside, but he only gets 3 on that play. A lot of moves there from the running back to only get 3 yards. But now that's going to set up a pass here for Dante Morris. He's got the flat open, but he's going to the end zone. A wide open man's going to get him down to the 2. Oregon looking to tie this game up here with about a minute remaining in the game. Likely to go with some hard-nosed football here as they're going to hand it off to the back, but he's stopped in the backfield. A great play there from our D-line to get to the running back. As now here at I form, Dante Moore's going to keep, and he's going backwards for a loss of 2. Oregon just used their last timeout. They've got 2 plays to go to the end zone here. See if they go back to the run here as they're going to motion a receiver over to the right. He's going to run back to the left. It's going to be a pass here for Moore, and a beautiful ball there is going to find its way into the end zone, and Oregon looks to tie this game here. And instead, they're going for a two-pointer. They're going for the 2-point try to try and win this game. It's a run, but Davison is stopped, and now Oregon has to go for an onside, and it's caught, and we're going to get the win. And I don't know what Oregon's thought process was there, but they went for 2 to try and win the game, and now we're going to take a knee to get a win in the Peach Bowl, and we're heading on to the semifinals. Now, after beating Oregon in the Peach Bowl, we're moving on here to the Cotton Bowl to face a number 3 ranked Notre Dame team, a team that should be much better than that Oregon team, a team that is currently averaging the most points in the entire country. But we still have the better team on paper. We should be able to get a win here and punch our ticket to the national championship. But in order to see if we can do that, we've got to jump in here and watch the final few minutes of this game. Now, heading into our semifinal matchup here, it's the Cotton Bowl here versus Notre Dame. The team that got the bye on the other side of our bracket here is the team that we're going to face looking to punch our ticket to the national championship. The biggest game that we've played here in this rebuild should be our best game here in this rebuild, and we're ready to come in here and get a win to move on to the national championship. Now we're jumping in here, looking at a Notre Dame punt here on 4th and 5. Just before we hit the 2-minute warning here, looking to get a solid return, but it's going to be a fair catch. We still have all 3 timeouts. We've got the 2-minute warning, and we are currently in a tied game 10-10. No points have been scored here in the second half as we're dropping back to pass here. He's going to the sideline. He's got a man to a 50. A beautiful ball there from Ryan. And like I said, no points have been scored here in the second half, so we're looking to be the first ones to do so here. And it could be the game winner. As now below the 2-minute warning, but that's just a bad ball that can't happen. Fortunately, Samuelson had dropped the ball, so a fall incomplete. And now we're dropping back to pass again. A ton of time in the pocket. He's going to throw it away. Our receivers struggling to separate here in the semifinal. As now on 3rd and 10. We're not within field goal range, so we have to keep going. And it's going to be intercepted. A horrible ball there on 3rd down, and you just can't do that here in the semifinals. As Notre Dame is set up here in great field position. They need a couple of more yards here to get into field goal range, as they're going to start with a pass, go to the sideline, and get about 8. Colton Joseph transferred here from Old Dominion, and he's currently leading his team down the field, trying to go send his team to the national championship, and that's going to help their case here as they're inside the 25 now. And time on our season is slowly running down here. Somebody's going to have to make the play of their life if we want a chance. They're going with a pass. They're inside the 10 at this point, and we're starting to take our timeouts as our season is slowly starting to trickle away from us. But Notre Dame's still going with an empty backfield here. There's still a chance to get a pick or a turnover in some sort of way. They are going with a pass. He's stepping up. He's got a lot of running room, and he's down at the 2. And they're going to call it a touchdown. I thought he was down at the 1, but the refs are going to give it to him, as apparently he was able to punch his way in. And now this PAT is going to give Notre Dame a 7-point lead with 1:11 left. The drive of a lifetime here for Ryan. He's got to go down the field here with just over a minute left, and I don't know if that's the start, as that's only getting 5 yards, but we're wasting precious time off this clock. We do have 2 timeouts, but is it enough to get down the field? He's dropping back to pass. He's got eyes way downfield, and it's another interception. Ryan single-handedly threw this game away on 2 passes. as back-to-back picks is gonna end our undefeated season. Notre Dame was just too much for us here in the semifinal, and they can just run it out here and take their trip off to the national championship. It's going to be with a run. He's going to juke. He might go to the end zone at this rate, but he's going to get a first. And we're still taking timeouts, but that doesn't matter as they could just take a knee here, and our season is going to come to an end here in the Cotton Bowl. An unfortunate way to go out, as there was back-to-back picks there that Ryan could have avoided, but just forcing balls into tight windows that he didn't need to. But our season here in season 3 is over. Now, after that loss to Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl, we have simmed to the offseason where I have set up my transfer portal board with a couple of replacements for guys that we're losing this season, whether that's to the transfer portal or to the draft. Now, to start it off, we lost both of our 5-star quarterbacks, the freshman and the sophomore, who didn't want to come back, so we've got to bring in some new guys to replace Ryan after he graduates next season. We've also got some other guys, mostly on offense, to shore up all the seniors who left holes after graduating. And then we have 2 corners to fill in for Colton Hood and another player who ended up transferring out. We also are trying to bring on a kicker because our kicker just isn't good enough here to be on a winning program. But now we're going to sim to the final week of the transfer portal where I'll show you guys how our transfer portal shapes out. Now, heading into the National Signing Day here, we have landed a total of 29 recruits, a mix from both high school and college, with all the high schoolers being 4 and 5 stars, a couple of gems mixed in there. But the transfer portal was for filling in the holes that we needed after the seniors and transfers left our school. And that ended up being 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 offensive linemen, a defensive lineman, a linebacker, 2 corners, and a kicker. And all of this has led to the number 1 class in the entire country with 9 5-stars, 15 4-stars, 4 3-stars, a 2-star as well. A great recruiting cycle for us, as this team should be ready to contend for a national title. But now we have to upgrade all these players, build out our team, fill out our roster, and head into season 4. Now, heading into season 4 here, we're going to start off by taking a look at this roster. Still at a 99 overall, but this team is the best roster that we have ever had. As the quarterback, Ryan, returning for his senior season, this time with 2 platinum abilities, 2 silver abilities, and much improved attributes. He's up to a 95. He might run his way into a Heisman finalist. Here at running back, transfer Jalen Dupree should be the starter, but I'm going to go with the senior chroma here. He's all the way up to 99 speed with 99 change of direction and 2 platinum abilities and 360 in sidestep. I'm going to give him a chance to take the starting role here at the start of the season. At wide receiver, the best room that I have ever seen with 9 receivers over 89 overall and 8 of them over 91 overall, with the 3-headed monster at 94, 94, and 93. At tight end, we have 3 reliable targets in both the passing game and blocking if we need to go to the ground, all above 85. The offensive line, all the starters above 90 overall, they should give Ryan a ton of time there in the pocket. At the edge rusher position, we have both the Sear brothers here. On the left side, we've got Mandrell at a 91, and we've got Darrell at a 92 on the right side. A lethal duo should cause a ton of chaos for the quarterbacks. At the defensive tackle spot, we have taken a step back, but we still have a solid room here with 385 overall defensive tackles. They should be good up the middle, should be very good in the run game. At the linebacker position, likely our weakest position, but it's still a solid room here with 83, 86, and 87 overalls. At the corner spot, another step back here for our defense, but it is a very fast corner room, as two of our top three guys all have 96 or faster speed. They should be very good. They should be sticking to receivers, a ton of pass breakups. I expect more interceptions than what we had last season. But even if they struggle, we have two very good safeties here. We've got Jacob at 90 overall, and we've got Petrula here at 91 overall. And even the kickers and punters are solid, but this roster is very good and does have a chance to go compete for a national title. But now we have to take a look at our schedule to see who will play this season. And we'll start out here going to a neutral site game versus another top 15 opponent. This season, it will be versus number 12 Alabama. Then we go home versus Nevada, at South Carolina. Heading into conference play, we'll go play a ranked Boston College at home. Then we get Cal at home. We'll go to SMU, heading into our bye week. And then coming out of it, we will go play at Virginia Tech, at Miami for our first rivalry game of the season. Then we go back home to North Carolina. Then we go play at Wake Forest, heading into our final two home games of the season, two rivalry games, home versus the top 15 Clemson team. And then our final game of the season will be home versus Florida. A very difficult schedule that should test us very well, but we look for a national championship this season, and it starts where we head into week 1 versus Alabama. Now, heading into week 1 here against Alabama, I first want to take a look here at our recruiting, as we're going after almost every single position here, and that starts with a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, a tight end, a ton of offensive line help, including a 4-star instant commit. We ended up also getting some defensive line help, linebackers, corner, and safeties, as well as a ton of 5-stars here who we could possibly take if other schools are refusing to give them the offers they need. But, like I said, we ended up getting a 4-star instant commit on the offensive line who doesn't have the greatest attributes, but he could be a solid backup for us if we need it. Now, with that being said, we're going to sim beyond the non-conference games here against Alabama, Nevada, and our final game against South Carolina. Then we're going to head into the conference games where we'll sim to mid-season to play our first rivalry game of the season. Now, after simming beyond the non-conference games, we ended up going 3-0 in 3 kind of close games. The first one was a touchdown win against a top 10 Alabama team who's currently 2-1. Then we would get an 18-point win versus Nevada. Then we would go play at South Carolina, where we would get a 17-point win. Solid couple games as we head into conference play here, as we are currently 3-0 and a top 5 team in the country. Now, when it comes to recruiting, nothing has changed. We still have that instant commit, but now we have a ton of players inside the top 5, with most of them having us first on their board. So it's a good start to recruiting. We've got a couple of visits coming up here, so we're trying to land some recruits in the next couple of weeks. But now we have to sim beyond the conference games, past our bye week, where we will play our first rivalry game of the season against the Miami Hurricanes. Now, after simming to week 9 here, we are currently the number 1 team in the entire country with a perfect 7-0 record. And heading into this week, we are playing against an underperforming Miami team who is currently 4-3 on the season, but they cannot be taken lightly, as they are a top team in the ACC when it comes to recruiting, developing, and building an overall solid team. But with that being said, the past couple of weeks have been some of the craziest that I've ever seen. Starting in week 4, where we would get a 14-point win versus Boston College, and then the craziest scoring streak that I have ever seen. We would put up 52 points against Cal, 52 points again versus an, at the time, ranked SMU team. Then we would go into our bye week and come out and put up 73 points at Virginia Tech and holding them to 0. Where in that game, we would put up 762 total yards of offense with 7 rushing touchdowns. One of the greatest performances that I have ever seen from a team against a Power 4 conference team. A great showing from this team as we head into rivalry week here, And that doesn't stop as it shows up huge here in recruiting. 5-star gem quarterback, 4-star tight end, 2 5-star linemen, a couple of 4-star offensive linemen here. Some linebackers, a corner, and even a free safety have all committed to our school after those fantastic performances. And we've got even more on the way here as we have a ton of players on visits in the next couple of weeks. But with that being said, we've got to jump into this Miami game here and finally play our first rivalry game here in 2028. Inside the Miami 15 here on 1st and 10. We're going to punch our ticket into the end zone. We're going to go back to Chroma here. A huge burst of speed, a ton of moving players there, and he's into the end zone for his first touchdown of the game. Miami's first third down of the game here. We're going to move some men over here. Try and contain the run as they're going to the outside. He's got a huge running lane. He's into the end zone for a Miami touchdown as they look to tie the game at 7. We've brought in a new kicker for this reason, to hit these long field goals here, hopefully with a little bit more accuracy. Solid placement, and that ball is right down the middle as we take our lead back. 1st and 10 for Miami across midfield. Looking to find their way into the end zone here for their second time on the game. They are going to drop back the pass. They've got a man deep downfield. They're going to take the shot, targeting our user, and a 50-50 ball. He cuts in front of us. He's into the end zone, and Miami takes a lead. 2nd and 13 now. We're going to try and go back to the pass here. Motion a receiver over, fake it to him, and a beautiful route there from the tight end as we get a good block downfield. He's running all the way. He's going to the end zone for a touchdown. What a way to respond to the Miami touchdown. With about 14 seconds left here, we're going to try and take some shots at the end zone here. Looking for somebody to get open. We're going to try and scramble out of the pocket, give some more time. We're going to send one to the end zone here on one play, and a 50-50 ball is caught by Crum for the touchdown, and we're going to take a 10-point lead. Miami's receivers are struggling to haul in the ball here, as another dropped pass is going to force another Miami punt. This time it will go off to the left side of the field, and we'll look to get a return here with Chroma. Try and cut it back to the left side. He's got enough speed to beat one man. He's got the punter left to beat. He's cutting it back to the outside to the sideline, and Chroma with a punt return touchdown, and we're looking to go up by 17. Here on 3rd down, Chroma's looking for his 3rd touchdown on the game. 1 rushing, 1 return, and now looking for his 2nd rushing as he musters his way into the end zone for another touchdown. A ton of time wasted off the clock on that drive, and it looks to end in a field goal here. Beautiful kick, beautiful power right down the middle. Here on 4th and inches, Miami's going to go with play action, dump it off into the end zone for a touchdown. We tried to catch Miami at the line, but they were ready for it with a slant to the inside. Miami hurrying things up, as that was only our 2nd sack of the game. Even though we've been dominating on defense, we only have 2 sacks, and they're looking for a receiver downfield, but our user is able to get there. It's Bierman with the interception, and this game's officially over. Here on 4th down, this game will come to an end. Miami not using any of their timeouts, but we get a 20-point win here at Miami's home stadium, Hard Rock Stadium, a very tough place to play, but we just outperformed them in every single stage of the game. A huge win for us, another 40-point performance from our offense, and we're going beyond this game 8-0 and should remain the #1 team in the entire country. Now, after a statement win against Miami, where we put up more than 40 points on offense, we have simmed to our 2nd rivalry game on the season here against number 8 Clemson, who just lost their 1st game on the season. It was an out-of-conference game, so they're still 7-0 in conference play. Looking to give them their 1st conference play loss this week, and it's a big one for us, as we have currently landed all but 1 recruit on our board. This 5-star gem receiver, and guess what? We're going against Clemson. He has a smidge of influence left before he commits to Clemson, but we've got his deal breaker here with A+, A-, and A-. But the bigger thing, a visit scheduled this week, in a rivalry game versus that exact Clemson team. But also, with these 15 recruits that we've landed, we currently have the number one class in the entire country with the most 5 stars signed. So it's been great for us so far. We've landed a ton of people on our board. But now we have to jump into this game here against Clemson, keep our undefeated season alive, and keep knocking Clemson down the rankings. Another rivalry game here in this series. This time it's against a top 10 ranked Clemson team. A team that had some troubles for us last year. They gave us a run for our money, but we ended up coming out of that game with a win. But now this year, we have a huge prospect coming in here for a visit, a 5-star receiver that we're looking to land this week with a win here against number 8, Clemson. First and goal here for Clemson. Looking to punch their ticket into the end zone here, likely with a run up the middle. That's exactly what they're going with, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. And Clemson strikes very quickly here. First and goal here for Clemson, as they're already driving after that interception and a one play that gets them down to the goal line here. They're going with a screen touchdown. Here on second down inside the 10, we're going right back to the run here with Chroma. Beautiful blocking up the middle. We're trying to find our way into the end zone, and we will. Here on 4th and 12, we're going to have to take a field goal, as Clemson was able to stop us inside the 10, but this will make it a 4-point game. Way too many mistakes on that drive, and Clemson's going to get a chance at a field goal, and it just squeaks in for 3. First and 10 here for Clemson. We're going to press the line and send another blitz here. They're going to go with play action. He's sacked, and it's a safety. Here on 1st and 10, we're going to switch the play up here. 2 safeties over the top. We're going back to the run here. A pancake block up the middle. Chroma's got 99 speed. He's cutting back to the outside, and we're going to take the lead. Here on 3rd down. We were going to switch some things up, but Clemson seems to be ready for it. So we're going to switch the play up. Try and get the snap off. It's going to be a handoff to Chroma for a 3rd touchdown. A 2-score lead here, and Clemson slowly running out of time. 5 wide here for Clemson. 2nd and 1. Are they going to go with a quarterback draw here? Instead, it's going to be a pass. They're going to find a man over the middle for a touchdown. And they're looking to make it a 3-point game here with less than 4 minutes in the game. Clemson started off extremely hot with a 14-0 lead. But as we take a knee here, this game will wrap up, and we'll leave here with a 3-point win and keep our undefeated season going. And hopefully with this win, that 5-star receiver will change his mind and will come over to Florida State. A great win for us, but we've got to jump right back in next week as we're going to head into the Florida game. Now, heading into this game here against Florida, our final rivalry game of the season, it's a big one. Even though we're 11-0, the number 1 team in the country, and Florida is only 5-6, we can keep them out of a bowl game with a win here. But also, that recruit didn't want to come here. We had to take him off our board because he committed to Clemson. Even though we got the win, he still wanted to go to Clemson. So we've replaced him here with a 4-star edge rusher, as we need to beef up the edge rushers and that whole room. But he should be a good one. Unfortunately, we couldn't get him, but we still have the number 1 class in the country. But now we've got to jump in here against Florida and keep them out of a bowl game and keep our number 1 seed in the college football playoff. Now, heading into our final rivalry game of the season here against Florida. And like I said earlier, a win here could lock up our spot as the number 1 team in the country heading into championship week. But we could also keep Florida out of a bowl game with the win here, which would be huge just to mess with Florida. And maybe it could cause them to lose some recruits. But we just need a win here to keep on pushing farther and farther in this season undefeated. Here on 2nd and 7, still looking to go back to the run as Florida seems to be stopping it here early. But with another rush here, Chroma's got a huge running lane up the middle. Can his 99 speed beat this last man? And he will. Touchdown Florida State, and we take the first lead of the game. Here on 3rd and goal. Looks like Florida's going to go in a 5 wide here. Empty backfield. So we're expecting some sort of pass. They are going to go with a pass. They're taking a bunch underneath. They're going to the end zone, and he's wide open. How does that happen from our defense? Here on 1st and goal, we'll have Chroma take the direct snap here as Florida stacks the line. Chroma still looking to add to his Heisman case here as we'll go with play action. Keep it with Chroma. He punches his way into the end zone and adds another touchdown to his tally. Florida's offense played really well there on that drive, but it looks like they're going to come up short here. As here on 4th and 4, they're going to have to take a field goal that goes right down the middle. Florida unable to tie the game, but they will bring it within 4. And we'll get a chance to return it here with Chroma. He's got a lot of blocking room. He's got a lot of speed. He could have another kick return touchdown. The Heisman Trophy, just give it to him. Here on 3rd and 1, Florida doesn't want to take any chances as they're just going to kick the field goal, and it squeaks in. We've got one more play here before the end of the half. We're going to hand it off to the Heisman Trophy hopeful here with Chroma, looking to get into space as he gets a first. There's no way. They just allowed Chroma to go for his 4th touchdown of the game. We'll have to take a field goal here after we tried to get Chroma his 4th rushing touchdown, but we were stuffed and we'll take 3. 3rd and goal now for Florida. We're going to press the line here. They're going to go with an RPO. Oh, beautiful blocking for a touchdown. And as we take our final knee here, what a performance from the Heisman hopeful Chroma with 4 total touchdowns on the game, 3 on the ground, and 1 in the kick return game, as he ended up with over 240 yards rushing. What a performance. Hopefully this can get him the Heisman Trophy as we head into the ACC championship game on an extremely high winning streak. Now, after a very impressive performance against a Florida team that was pretty solid, we are now heading into the ACC championship here, currently at the number 2 team in the country at a perfect 12-0 record. And we are playing once again against a team that we meet every single year here, against Clemson, a current 10-2 team, as their only losses on the season are to us and Notre Dame, 2 very good teams, 2 teams that are currently projected to have byes in the college football playoff. So this team is extremely dangerous, but we've already beat them once this season, looking to do it once again, as now we are going to jump in and watch the final few minutes to see if we can keep a 13-0 dream alive. The ACC championship game. Back here for another year, looking for another undefeated season for us, but once again we're playing against the top 10 Clemson team. Multiple years in a row that we're playing the same team in the ACC championship game, but we've had our best team this year with the Heisman front runner at running back. So we're looking to put our power forward first, looking to score first, looking to get some great stops on defense, and looking a way to run away with this game as we look for the number 1 seed in the college football playoff once again. And we'll jump in here 2nd and 13 as we currently have a 1-point lead. We just got moved backwards on 1st down. We're going with a pass here, dump off to the tight end. We just got those 3 yards back. And Ryan's been held to 100 yards passing. A pretty poor performance from our 1st-round hopeful quarterback as he's dropping back to pass here. He's got a lot of time, and he's just going to find an out route, but that's not enough. Wasted a lot of time off the clock, as unfortunately the clock was stopped there. But with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, Clemson's going to look for one singular point, as the return is none. And they're coming out here 5 wide on 1st down, looking for something deep down the field or maybe a route over the middle. They're going to take a quick underneath, and that gets them 7 or 8. Brian Lasco with 270 yards as he's been more efficient than our quarterback. It seems to be helping Clemson here in this game as we'll hit the 2-minute warning. Now coming out of the 2-minute warning here, Clemson's likely going to try and make this the last drive of the game. Our defense needs a huge stop here as Lasco is going to take an underneath route, but that's pummeled pretty well there. Gets him a first down, puts him at about the 44. Another pass here for Lasco. He's trying to move out to the right. He's going to the sideline, and that's a first. As our defense is starting to crumble here. Starting to show the flaws there on our corners. 1st and 10, they might be just within field goal range. They're going with another pass over the middle, and our defense is slowly starting to crumble apart as our undefeated season is slowly starting to slip out of our hands. Our defense is starting to show their weaknesses here, but with 1:30 left, could still get a turnover. Lasco's got a lot of time. He's going to take the dump off here, and it looks like we'll use our first timeout. Now with 81 seconds left in this game. 2nd and 6 here. Clemson's likely just going to run the ball here, try and waste more time, and they're going to get a first as they're inside the 10. That's a first down. Another timeout used here for Florida State. Will Clemson go for the end zone, or will they trust the kicker to take a chip shot? They're going play action. They're taking it to the air. Lasco stepping up. He's trying to get to the outside. He's going to dive. And that will be Florida State's final timeout. Here at about the 7-second and goal. Will they go to the end zone? This is a spot where mistakes can be made. Lasco's going to the back of the end zone and it's broken up. 3rd and goal now for Clemson. They need to keep the ball out of the hands of Florida State. Defense is a dump off. 4th and goal. They're going to bring out the field goal unit. He stayed in bounds, so it's going to tick farther and farther down here. 4th and goal. A quick chip shot, and it's through. A poor return there that they could have just let go. But now with 21 seconds, they've got to drive down the field and look for a field goal. Ryan's going to need a huge moment here. He's just going to roll out, and that's not the play you need. Ryan gets dropped. He's got to throw it out of bounds. And now 2nd and 10 with about 17 seconds left. It's another play action. He's going deep down the field, and it's thrown out of bounds. He had a man open. It was just thrown wildly. 3rd and 10. 2 more plays left here. It's going to be another pass. He's just running out of the pocket, and it's another ball thrown away. Ryan just not seeing anything downfield. Our final play of the game, our final play here in the ACC championship game, as they're going deep. Down the sideline, broken up, game over. Just bad football, and our game is over. We'll lose the ACC championship, but we're still in the college football playoff as we look to head on and look for our first national championship. Now, simming beyond week 16, after the ACC championship game, we did it. We got a Heisman winner. Chroma has done it in his senior season. He was supposed to be the 3rd string back at the beginning of the season. But after moving him to running back 1 because he had 99 speed with platinum juke, platinum spin move, he has had 1,700 rushing yards with 28 rushing touchdowns, and now a Heisman Trophy winner, and you can check off one of the challenges. And now all we need is a national championship. We got the difficult part out of the way, but now we need the second half of the challenges. So now we're going to sim into the first week of bowl weeks. Unless we got the bye, then we'll sim into the second week where we'll play our first round. Now, heading into the second bowl week here, we ended up keeping our first round bye even after a loss. But it didn't help us much as we have to face a very tough Oregon team who ended up winning their first round matchup even as the 12 seed. A very tough matchup for us, a very tough draw for us, as they would end up beating 5th ranked Auburn by 19 points in the first round. And then the other matchups, BYU would dismantle Boise, Clemson would get a 3-point win in a revenge game over Notre Dame, and LSU would beat UCLA by 24 points. So now here in the second round, we've got to play against Oregon. And we'll jump in here and watch the final few minutes of the game as we keep trying to look for our first national championship of this rebuild. Now heading into the Rose Bowl here against a 12th ranked Oregon team. A very tough Big Ten opponent somehow ended up with the 12 seed and won their first round matchup. So now we've got to play him here at the Rose Bowl in what should be a very good game. But we do have a very good offense, a top ranked offense in the entire country with a very solid defense that should be able to hold things down as we look to advance here in the college football playoff. And we'll jump in here at a 3rd and 10. Florida State currently leading 27-24 after we were down 17 to nothing in the first quarter. They're taking a deep shot to the end zone, and it could have been picked off. Unfortunately, it falls flat. Oregon will look to take a game-tying field goal here with 3 minutes and 31 seconds left in the game. That ball's up. Pretty good spin on it as it's right through the uprights. Oregon ties the game at 27. And like I said, Oregon had 17 points in the first quarter, but we were able to respond with 17 of our own. Oregon put up a touchdown. We responded with a touchdown. We got the ball back. We kicked a field goal, and you just saw Oregon kick their game-tying field goal as we'll start our drive here from the 10. Going to be a play to the outside, and I don't know if that was the play call, but it gets a yard as Ryan's once again under 120 yards passing. In both games that we've jumped into here this season, he's just been inefficient in the passing game. He's going right back to it, take a dump off, and that's what you need, but there's a flag on the play, and that's what you cannot have if you're Florida State. We finally get some momentum going in the passing game, and it just comes right back on a holding. You can't do that there. 2nd and 15 now inside 3 minutes. We can't give Oregon a chance to go down and score as we're going back to the pass over the middle of the field, and he'll get most of those yards back. A good catch there as we get about 9 yards there on 2nd down. Ryan needs his magical moment here in the playoffs to get us down the field. He's dropping back to pass. He's got so much time back there, and it's picked off. Why are we throwing it into double coverage with the season on the line? And now Oregon's going to have great field position here from the 25. Just embarrassing. When the moment's bright, Ryan just seems to fold under pressure, as that will get 3 yards. As we will hit the 2-minute warning here in the Rose Bowl. Oregon here 2nd and 7. They're within field goal range, but our defense still has 3 timeouts to work with. He's got a ton of time, but a sack. That's exactly what we needed there from Curtis up the middle. He's able to get to the quarterback for a sack. 3rd and 13. No timeouts will be used as the clock will start going here. 90 seconds left in this game. We're still looking to get the ball back. We need our defense to come up with a stop here. They're dropping out. They're rolling to the right. They're taking the dump off, but we've got a guy there. Another timeout for us, and we will hold Oregon to 3. They'll bring the field goal team back out. 79 seconds left in this game. And that ball is drilled for 3. Chroma won the award for best returner in the entire country, and a screen pass is not what we need. I don't like this play calling here. Just not what you need in a championship sort of situation. A ton of time in the pocket. He's taking a deep shot. Double coverage again, and what are we doing? As they're going to pick it off, and that's how our season's going to end. One of the best seasons in our history, where we ended up with a Heisman Trophy winner, and Ryan throws 2 picks in his final game in college, and we are gonna lose here in the Rose Bowl. Once again, coming up short. You just cannot have that happen. As we're gonna try with everything we've got to fight back, but I don't know if we have it. They've just got to waste 6 seconds here to get that final timeout out of our pocket. They could just run backwards and let this thing roll out. They'll go with a handoff here. We're able to bring them down before that 40-second mark. We'll take our final timeout, but I don't know if it's enough, as Oregon will take a knee, set up a field goal, which should waste the rest of the clock. And I don't know. It wasn't enough time, but one more run should end this thing here. As our season's going to come to an end in the Rose Bowl, they're going to go with a pass. We need a pick six, but a sack isn't going to do it. They're celebrating, but this game's over, and now our season is over. After an embarrassing performance there in the fourth quarter from Ryan, he's going to graduate with that on his shoulders. But our season's over, and now we've got to head into the offseason. Now, after back-to-back heartbreaking losses in both the ACC championship game and the Rose Bowl, we're moving on here to the offseason where we have to rebuild this team after we lost a ton of players, both seniors and players who just wanted to leave in the transfer portal because the playing time wasn't there for them. So now we've got a ton of people here, mostly offensive players along the offensive line and in the skill positions, but we've got a quarterback, some running backs, a ton of receivers, a tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, corner, and a safety, the same as it usually is. Looking to bring in a ton of new players here as we are still trying to push for a national championship. But like always, we've got to sim to week 4 to see how this team rounds itself out. Now, after 4 weeks of off-season recruiting in the transfer portal, we have signed a full board of 35 recruits. All the recruits out of high school are 4 and 5 stars, with most of them being gems with elite or star development. So, a very good recruiting class there. And we even have some hidden gems here from the recruiting transfer portal. Star 3-star quarterback, he'll be a solid backup, maybe could develop into something for us. An elite running back 4-star here. So, it should be a good backfield there, whether they're backups or starters next season. And we've got a ton of other holes that got filled up here in the transfer portal, and it ended up leading to the number 1 class in the entire country with 35 total recruits, 6 of them being 5 stars, 21 of them being 4 stars, and 8 of them being 3 stars. A very good class for us, but at this point, every single year, it's been number 1. So very good for us, but now we've got to upgrade this team and head into season 5. Season 5. I didn't think we would make it this far because of how good our teams have been, but we've choked every single year in the playoffs. So now that we're back here for another year, we've got to take a look at the roster that we're going to head into this season with. And it starts with the quarterback. Ryan graduated last year, so now he's going to hand off the reins to the freshman quarterback here. I'm going to start Terrence here. Even though he's a lower overall, he's a freshman. He's going to be here for more years than Saunders. So I'm going to try and get him some experience this year, try and get him as high of an overall that I can, get him as much experience as possible this season so we can go all out next season with hopefully the best quarterback in the country. Now at our running backs, the deepest room we've ever had with 2 running backs with 98 and 99 speed. They should be insane. They should cause a ton of problems for defenses. The wide receiver room, similar to last year, very top heavy with a 95, 94, 93, and 93, all very solid options for our quarterback. And at the tight end room, it's definitely much better than what we've had before, as we have a 99 overall here, the best tight end that I've ever had. Here at the offensive line, all solid options with a bunch of 90 overalls that should be good enough for our quarterback to get the ball out in time. Edge rusher position, a little bit worse than last year as we don't have the Desir brothers, but it's still very solid options. Up the middle here, we've got 90, 89, 89, 89, and 88 at the defensive tackle position. The deepest room in all of college football should be very good for us if anybody gets hurt. Here at the linebacker position, the best linebackers that we've ever had with a 90 here at Sam, 91 and 90 at Mike, and a 90 here at Will. Very solid room. At the cornerback position, it's more depth than top heavy here. We've got 91, 89, 89, 89, and 88. Very solid room, with the safeties being 92 and 94 with a 91 and 90 backup. Very, very good defense. Much better than what we had last year. So hopefully we can hold offenses and let our offense do the work and hold the football. But now we've got to take a look at the schedule that we'll be facing this year. And once again, it starts off with an insane SEC opponent this year. It's going to be Georgia. Then we go play at Boston College, at Maryland, at Clemson, and at Georgia Tech. A crazy away schedule to start this season. Should be difficult for us, but if we can make it through, we've got Syracuse at home, NC State at home, Miami at home, Stanford at home. 4 away games, then 4 home games. A very interesting schedule, but if we can get through all of this, we should be very good. Then we have at Virginia, home versus Houston, and then our first bye week of the season before we go to Florida for our final rivalry game of the season. A very interesting schedule, a very difficult schedule. But now we've got to set up my board and head into week 1 where we will see how we do against Georgia. Now heading into week 1 here, playing against a team that's currently ranked higher than us in the AP poll. It's the Georgia Bulldogs. We're playing at a neutral site in the kickoff game, but we've got to take a look at my board here first before we jump into it, as we're going after similar guys to what we have in years before. Quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, a ton of offensive line, a ton of defensive line with a defensive tackle, 2 linebackers, a corner, and 2 safeties here with a ton of guys left on the board who we could go after at a later date, but not right now. We didn't get any instant commits this year, so now we're going to sim past the next couple of weeks until we hit the Clemson game where we'll jump in and play that game. Now, after simming beyond the first 3 weeks of the season, we head into this Clemson game a perfect 3-0 after we got an opening week win versus Georgia, a current top 10 team. Then we would go play an at the time 22nd ranked Boston College and get a big win. Then we go play at Maryland and get another big win. So it's a good stepping stone for us as we head into a current underperforming Clemson team, but they have had a bad schedule so far. In week 0, they played against a ranked Notre Dame team, and then in week 3, they played against another ranked Georgia team. So both those losses came in brutal fashion against them, and now they have to turn around and play the number 1 team here in Florida State. Now, we haven't landed any recruits off these 3 wins yet, but we are looking to land a couple this week after getting a hopeful win here against Clemson. But this team is extremely dangerous. We cannot take them lightly. So we're going to jump in here and look to control this game. Now, heading into this game here against Clemson, we have returned back here to Death Valley here in Season 5. It's going to be a very tough one as they currently have a Heisman frontrunner in quarterback Brian Lasco, who we've played for a couple years now, but he is up to a 97 overall. He's leading the charge here for the Clemson Tigers, but they do have 2 losses on the season, one to a top 5 Notre Dame team and one to a top 10 Georgia team. So now they're playing the number 1 team in the country, but this time we're looking to keep that streak going and we're looking to shut down this team. An unexpected drop from our 99 overall tight end, and we've got to take another field goal here. Hopefully we can make this one, and it's right down the middle. We started this drive in great field position, but we're going to have to take another field goal here. And this squeaks in for 3. We've got 22 seconds with 26 yards to go. We're going with a pass here. We've got a running back wide open out of the backfield. We've got good blocking on the outside. Flex going to find the sideline. He's going to find the end zone for a touchdown. And we're going to take a 13-0 lead. But Clemson's offense has not found anything here in this game with 2 turnovers and 2 punts as we're going back to the run here. On second down, we get a good block up the middle. And as I was skipping over my words talking about Clemson's offense, we're finding the end zone again. 2nd and 2 now here for Clemson. We're going to try and send some pressure. We need somebody to get to the quarterback. We had a chance there, but the Heisman hopeful's in the end zone for a touchdown. We hit the 2-minute warning as now we're looking to take another field goal try in this game to take a 23-7 lead. And that's going to be good. We've got 60 seconds left in this game here for Clemson. They do have 1 timeout. They're going with a pass. Nothing's open yet. He's going to the end zone, and of course, something opens up for a touchdown. Clemson tried to make a comeback in this game, but unfortunately for them, it just wasn't enough. As we held them scoreless in the first half, but two touchdowns in the second half made it a close game. But a huge win, a huge rivalry win, as now we're 4-0, currently the number one team in the country, as we head on to our next rivalry game against Miami. Now, after a pretty dominant win against Clemson, we've simmed a couple of weeks here to week 8, where we are still the number one team in the entire country at a perfect 7-0 record. And now heading into this week, we are going against a 14th ranked Miami team who only has one loss on the entire season. And this week has huge implications on recruiting as we have a 5-star receiver on visit. We're currently going against Georgia, who is gaining more influence because of that Tier 5 pipeline. But a win here on a visit week should be able to steal this guy from Georgia. And we've got a ton of other recruits here. We've landed some guys like a 4-star running back, 2 5-star edge rushers, a 4-star defensive tackle, a 5-star corner, and 2 4-star safeties. But other than that, we've got to get a win here in this rivalry game, as we could land multiple recruits this week. And the only way to find that out is by jumping in here and playing against the Hurricanes. Another rivalry game here in this series. This time it's against the top 15 Miami team. They're coming to our place this year, which means that we have multiple 5-star recruits on visit. Mostly on the defensive side, but we've got an offensive lineman on visit with them. And getting a win here could likely land us all 4 of those recruits. Now, after Miami's second penalty of the game, it will give us a chance here first and goal. We'll go with a handoff. We've got a lot of running room, and it's Fleck into the end zone for a touchdown. Third and goal here. We're still looking to find a way to capitalize on another Miami turnover. And we're going to go with a pitch to the outside, and Chip has too much speed for them. Touchdown, 2-touchdown lead. First and 10 here for Miami as they have fantastic field position after the interception. They're going to go right to the end zone on the first play for a touchdown. Here on 3rd and 12, we're looking for somebody to make a big play as we are dropping back to pass. Waiting for somebody to get open. It opens up. We've got a receiver deep down the field. It's Crum fighting for his first touchdown of the game. First and 10 here for our offense. Looking to go down and get at least a field goal on the board. It's going to start with a run with Chip. And Chip might go for the end zone here on the first play. He's across midfield. He's got 99 speed, and no one is catching him. Miami's going to hurry it up here on 3rd and 2. Looking to get a first down here as they're dropping back to pass. They're going to try and find a man deep down the field. We whiff a tackle, and he's going to go to the end zone as Miami gets that touchdown right back. And after our interception, just a poor read, Miami's going to get a field goal try to make this a 10-point game. After Miami made an 11-point game, we'll have one final chance to return it here with Chip. We've got good blocking. There's no way. How does Miami allow Chip to get into space to give us our lead right back? Here on 1st and 10, looking to get inside the 10. We're going to motion a tight end to the left as Miami seems to be switching things up, but we're going to go with a run up the middle. Hand it off to Chip. We get a block. We've got another Chip touchdown. A lot of time off the clock on that drive. It's going to end in a field goal to give us a 45-17 lead. Miami's going to go for it here on 4th and 14. They're dropping back to pass. They're taking a deep shot down the field. A 360 catch is going for a touchdown. Back-to-back incompletions for Miami brings up 3rd and 10. As they look for a first down here, they're dropping back to pass. Nothing's open yet. He's going to find the middle of the field. And instead of a first down, they're going to get a touchdown. We'll get a chance to return it here with Fleck as we get good blocking up the middle. And there's no way we've done it twice. one with Chip, one with Fleck. This game's about wrapped up, but we're going to get our final 3 points here on a field goal try to make it 55-31. And now we'll take a knee here and go home after our offensive explosion, including 2 kickoff return touchdowns, one from Chip, one from Fleck. An offensive explosion as we dominate Miami in a top 15 matchup here. Chip with 3 rushing touchdowns, Fleck with another rushing touchdown. Just a fantastic performance all around as we look forward to the Florida game to end our season. Now, heading into the final week of the regular season here, we're going against the Florida Gators, who are currently 6-5 on the season and 3-5 in conference play. Now, this should be an easy game for us, and we cannot have any recruits on this visit. But after that Miami game, we did land a couple extra recruits, like this 5-star gem receiver. We ended up getting this 5-star right guard, 5-star center, this 4-star right tackle, and a couple of other guys down here, an extra edge rusher with all these guys who were still committed to our school before that Miami game. Now, we do have a couple of other guys who we're still trying to go after, a couple of guys we're in recruiting battles for, but most of those will fall into place during the playoffs. So we've got to jump in here and hopefully get an easy win against the Florida Gators. Now, heading into this game here against the Florida Gators, this year we're playing in the swamp against the Gators' likely worst team they've had this entire rebuild. But because it's in the swamp, it's still going to be a somewhat difficult game. And this is the game here that could give us our undefeated season once again. Now, as we head into the ACC championship after this game, we already have our spot clinched, so we will be playing in it in 2 weeks. But we just want to have some success in the playoffs as we've been eliminated in back-to-back-to-back years. Florida's defensive line is causing problems for our offensive line, and now we have to take a field goal. In a difficult spot here, and that ball is drilled. The first 3 points of the game go to Florida State. Florida sent pressure on 4th down, but now they're going to go with a stretch to the outside, but it's a safety. Now, coming out of the 2-minute warning here, we're looking to find our way into the end zone. And we'll start with a pass as we'll find a man wide open underneath. It's Crum. He's got 1,000,000 yards to walk into the end zone for a touchdown, and we should be taking a 12-0 lead here. 3rd and 5 here for Florida. We're pressing at the line as they're dropping back to pass. They have a man wide open, and how does he end up that open? Florida's got 16 seconds left here in the first half. They're dropping back to pass. They're going with a deep shot. There's no way he gets burnt again. What is going on? Here on 2nd and 5, we're going to try and get a Day's arm back into the game as we're going to motion Chip out of the backfield. We're dropping back to pass. We've got a wide open Godot. He's trying to go to the end zone for his first touchdown of the game. Come up here, 2nd and goal. Looking for some blocking here to get Fleck into the end zone as we'll hand it off to him, and a lane opens up for another touchdown. 1st and goal for Florida. It looks like it's going to be a handoff. He's got a wide open lane for a touchdown. 3rd and goal here as we hit inside 90 seconds left in this game. We're going to go with a handoff here. Wide open lane for Chip. 3rd and 5 for Florida. 19 seconds left in the game. They're likely down to their final 2 plays here this drive. The middle of the field. He's going to the end zone. He's targeting him again for another touchdown. And as we take a knee here to end this game, Florida made this game way too close. An embarrassing performance from our DBs as we got burnt 3 times. But it's okay. We won the game. We're heading on to the ACC championship thanks to a 200-yard performance from Chip. Now, heading into the ACC championship here after a win versus Florida to give us a perfect 12-0 record. For the first time in 3 years, we are not playing against Clemson. This year, we're playing against the 13th ranked SMU Mustangs. An interesting matchup, a matchup I wasn't expecting, as we didn't play this team in the regular season. So it's going to be the first time we play here in season 5. So the only way to find out how this game will end up is by jumping in and watching the final few minutes of the ACC championship. Now, heading into the ACC championship here, like I said, we're going against the SMU Mustangs, a current top 15 team in the entire country, but this is the first time we've played them this season as we did not have them in our conference games. So it's going to be new to us. Should be a game that we should be able to pull away from, but anything can happen in the championship game. Now we'll jump in here, 1st and 10 for SMU, and this game hasn't been close at all. They've allowed way too many yards here, as that dump off will get them about 8. But SMU allowed too much on defense. We've put up 41 points, and their offense just hasn't been good enough here in the second half, as they'll go with a handoff to try and get that first down. He'll get it there. But as we hit under 3 minutes now, I think SMU is just going to let this clock run down. I don't know if this loss will hurt them enough to kick them out of the college football playoff, as they're currently ranked 13th, so they're just on the outside, as that's a beautiful ball to the outside there. So this loss will likely kick them out of the playoffs if they were even in it. But as we're about to hit the 2-minute warning here, they're across midfield at about the 44. But the 2-minute warning will come before our next play. Now they'll come out here. 2 minutes left, looking to make this game somewhat close, looking to make it somewhat respectable. As he's dropping back to pass, he's looking over the middle, and that could have been intercepted. He threw it into double coverage. It was broken up. Now on 2nd and 10, he's looking for something that's a little less dangerous. He is dropping back to pass, but guess who's there in the backfield for a sack? Off the edge, and it's Hopkins, the 95 speed edge rusher. A beautiful play there from Hopkins. And now 3rd and 16 for SMU. They're dropping back to pass. He's looking deep down the field. He's taking a shot. Overthrown. SMU's season comes down to one more play here. 4th and 16 from midfield, right at the logo. As they're dropping back to pass here for the 4th time. They're going deep, and it's intercepted. A fitting way to end this game, and this could be returned for a touchdown. He's got the quarterback to beat, but he's taken down at about the 30. Not enough for SMU, as we'll likely just run this clock out, and they will likely not use any of their timeouts. We'll see. Instead, we're going with a pass here. What is going on? It's a 1st down. A conversion there is added just shy of 400 yards passing. What a great game from him, as he's just going to let this clock run down here. Wait until we hit the 40-second mark, and then he should take a knee. As instead, they're going to hand it off here to Chip. Chip's able to break a tackle, spin off another tackle, and that should be the end of the game as Chip hits 70 yards rushing. They're coming back to the line for one play. Will they get a snap off, try and get a pass? He's clapping, but no play will be made, as we will win another ACC championship here in this rebuild, this time destroying the SMU Mustangs 41-17, as that will give us a bye week. So we are going to head into the second college football playoff bowl week. Now, after a ACC championship win, we got a first-round bye at a perfect 13-0 record, the number 1 team in the entire country. So we've gone on to the second bowl week here, where we are now facing an 11-2, 8th-ranked Texas Longhorns team. Now, we did have to make a change to our staff, as our offensive coordinator left for either another team or the NFL. I don't know yet. So we're going to have to bring in a new OC here. It's going to be interesting. Nothing should change. This offense still should be very good for us, but there's going to be a different change here. Our offense could take a step back next year, but I don't expect anything to change. But the only other thing to do here is jump in and see if we can finally win a playoff game here in year 5. Now, back here at the Cotton Bowl, back here for another year. This year, it's going to be against the Texas Longhorns. Now, we did lose this game last year, so we're looking for a slight revenge, but it's against a different team this year. We do have a better team than what we did last year, but we have a freshman quarterback this year who's played very well. He ended up winning Freshman of the Year. But will the inexperience show up here in the playoff game against Texas? Now we'll jump in here 1st and 10 from the 25. A game that's been very close, a ton of offensive struggles for Texas. They've put up 36 points, but they've had multiple turnovers that's led to Florida State points. And on 1st down there, we got 2 yards. And we haven't had a very efficient game on offense. Aday's been held under 150 passing yards. He's dropping back. He's looking for somebody. He's got a man on the sideline for a 1st down. That's the kind of things we needed, as he's now over 150 yards passing. 1 passing touchdown for him. No interception, so he's not turning the ball over. Just not having an efficient game. Is a good handoff there to Chip. He's trying to fight for a first as we're across midfield. And all we need here is a field goal to tie the game or a touchdown to give us the lead. We're going to go back with a handoff with Chip. Chip's got a lot of running room, a great juke from him as we're across the 35. Chip's finally starting to get some carries in this game, as that's only his 9th carry on the game. They're going right back to him. The man who finished 5th in Heisman voting got 75 yards here. Looking for some sort of answer as we're dropping back to pass now. We got to get it out quick. Targeting the sideline for 5. As we're about to hit the 2-minute warning, but we're within field goal range here. I don't think our offense is looking for a field goal here, as it's a handoff to Chip. Great blocking there on the outside. Gets us another first inside the red zone here, as that will take us to the 2-minute warning here in the Cotton Bowl. Great stuff here from our offense as we're inside the 20. 17 more yards to go here to try and put Texas away in a day. I don't know if that was the play there. It was a quarterback keeper that gets pushed back for 1. He's going with the pass this time. He gets it out quick. A wide open man's going to get a first. And we're inside the 10 now. At about the 6. Now can we get through Texas's D-line to get into the end zone? It's going to start with a pass. A dump off. A wide open Crumb. He's inside the 5 at about the 3. And we'll take our first timeout as we're about to hit a minute left in this game. Our offense just needs to be careful. We need to keep the ball in our hands. We need to find a way to get in the end zone here. It's going to be a pass. Aday, where are we going? We're going backwards for a loss. You cannot take a sack there. We're all the way back at the 11. What was that? A minute left in this game here. 3rd and goal. Aday is looking deep down the field. He's going to the end zone for a touchdown. His 2nd passing touchdown of the game is going to give Florida State the lead back. And a PAT should make this a 4-point game, as it's perfect. 1st and 10 here for the 13. Down by 4 points with 3 timeouts remaining for Texas. It's going to start with a handoff, and he's bullied into the backfield. A loss of 2. And Simon, the Texas running back, over 100 yards rushing, is going to get pushed backwards for a loss of 2. Texas is going to keep the clock running as they're going with a drag over the middle, but that just gets them a yard back. Zollers, the Texas quarterback, is throwing 4 touchdowns as they'll take their first timeout. 3rd and 11 now for Texas. How will they respond here? They're going to motion Simon out of the backfield. They're dropping back to pass. We're rushing 3. They've got a ton of time. It's a throw up. And it's batted down and falling flat as the final play of the game for Texas. Unless they can get a first down here. 4th and 11 from the 12. They're dropping back to pass. They're getting it out quickly. And it's enough for a first down. How are we allowing that? As Texas will use a timeout. 4th and 11 and we allow it. How does that happen? As Texas has 3 receivers up top and they're going to one of them who can't get many yards, but that's their final timeout. They are still 72 yards away from the end zone. They're dropping back to pass. He's looking deep down the field, but instead he's going to take the flat. and that goes backwards. That will not stop the clock. 15 seconds remaining for Texas. They've got to go 68 yards on one play. 5 seconds left. Zollers is scrambling in the pocket. He doesn't have much time. We're closing in on him. And he's sacked for a loss. Game over. We have finally won a playoff game. We are victorious here in the Cotton Bowl, and we are moving on to the semifinals. Now, after a huge win versus a Texas team that really gave us a run for our money, we're going to be heading into the Rose Bowl where we will play against fifth-ranked 14-1 Oklahoma State, a team that's pretty similar to us in stats. Overall, we have the better team on paper, but this team has been high-flying on offense all season long. They're going to give us a run for our money, but we've got to jump in here and see if we can take down this 14-1 Oklahoma State team. Now heading into the Rose Bowl here, a semifinal matchup versus the Oklahoma State Cowboys. A team I wasn't expecting to play here, but they have the second runner-up here in Heisman voting at quarterback. Elijah Brown, he's been carrying them all season as they're averaging 38 points per game on offense, so hopefully our defense can shut them down here today. Looking to get a big win to get our first national championship appearance here in Season 5. Now we'll jump in here first and 10 with about 3 minutes and 15 seconds left in this game. A game that Oklahoma State was leading for a lot of the time here in the first half, as they were up 16-0 at some point, as Aday's got a ton of time in the pocket. He's got a first down, too. But like I said, Oklahoma State was winning 16-0 at one point, but gave up 2 touchdowns in the final 2 minutes of the first half. And then we ended up bringing it all the way back, taking a 23-16 lead before Oklahoma State responded with a touchdown to start the fourth quarter. As that's another beautiful ball from Aday, as we're about to hit the 2-minute warning here, where Oklahoma State will use their first timeout. Now we're going to motion a receiver over. Double play action, that's just not what we're looking for, as we're taking a sack for another Oklahoma State timeout. Their offense was scaring me in the first half, but they've slowly taken a step back here, and so has their defensive game. As we're going to the sideline for another beautiful ball, 1st and goal. A beautiful ball from the freshman as we're looking to ice this game with another touchdown. A couple of runs here with Chip as he's going to get inside the 5 where Oklahoma State will use their final timeout. And that could be the end of the game as they only have the 2-minute warning remaining for time stoppage. It's going to be another handoff to Chip. He's into the end zone, and this game should be over. The man who finished 5th in Heisman, won the Doak Walker Award for the 2nd straight year. Florida State had a running back who was fantastic for us, has put us on the board again, 35-23, as they'll take a knee in the end zone. And Oklahoma State will come out here 1st and 10. Can their senior quarterback, Elijah Brown, who finished 2nd in Heisman, drive them down the field here for 2 more touchdowns as they'll hit the 2-minute warning with a 5-yard gain? 2 minutes left here for the senior quarterback to make something work here. He's going to take the dump off to the flat that gets a first. It will stop the clock for the moment, but once they get back to the line, things will keep going here. 1st and 10, dropping back to pass, looking over the middle, another 15 yards to midfield. Oklahoma State's trying to make things close here. Trying to mess things up for our defense here. As we're sending a blitz here, they're getting it out quickly, but it's broken up as he's flattened on the outside. A dangerous ball for Brown, but they have more life here. 98 seconds left. That's all they get as they're going over the middle, trying to fight for a first, but he's just short. It cannot stop the clock, as they could just QB sneak it up the middle, but instead, here at a shotgun, Brown dropping back, Another slant. Dangerous ball, but it's hauled in for another first down, and that will get their stoppage. Here at the 26, we're under 80 seconds in this game. Brown looking deep down the field. Instead, he's going to take the underneath in the flat for about 6. A ton of efficient gains here for Oklahoma State. But they've got to end up in the end zone here. They've got to get the onside afterwards. He's dropping back. He's looking for the end zone, but he's hit from behind for a sack. It's Chabera for the sack. The last thing they needed there, as now they have to waste time running back to the line. They're going to go 5 wide. They're likely looking for the end zone. It's a shot over the middle, and it's intercepted. Oklahoma State's fire has been lit and shut down, as we will get the interception. We will end their season, and we are going to head to the national championship here in season 5. A team that's going to end up 15-0. What a story, as hopefully we can get a championship here in year 5. Now, after beating up on Oklahoma State last week, we're heading into the national championship 15-0, a perfect record going against 6th ranked 13-2 Notre Dame. It's going to be a difficult game. This team should give us a run for our money because they have destroyed their opponents here in the college football playoff. They won 52-23 against Georgia, 41-27 against Ole Miss, and 49-10 against Illinois. So this team's offense is very good. But now we've got to head in and see if we can end this rebuild here in season 5. The national championship. This game right here could end our rebuild after only 5 seasons. But we're going against a very, very tough opponent here in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who have one of the best offenses in the entire country. But we also have one of the best offenses in the entire country with an even better defense. Hopefully, we can lock them down here and go home with a national title. Now, as we head into this game here, 6 minutes, 22 seconds left. We are currently winning 27-13. Here on first down, they're going over the middle, and it's broken up. A game that we were leading 27-10, but Notre Dame got a field goal here to start off this fourth quarter, and then they just got the ball back as they're going with a handoff to the outside. He's got a ton of room. He's got a juke, as he's going to get them 3 yards shy. Nolan Butts, their starting running back, just reached 70 yards rushing, and he's got 3 more to go here before the first down. They're dropping back to pass. They're going over the middle, and it could have been intercepted. That could have been a horrible play for Notre Dame that could have nearly ended their season. But instead they have life here. They're going for it on fourth down. They're going to dump it off to the running back, but we hit him in the backfield. A loss of 3. And we're going to get the fourth down stop. And we're going to get the ball back here across midfield. We can run the clock out here. There's still 5 minutes and 41 seconds left here in the national title game. Here, the freshman quarterback looking to get it done. He's going to pass over the middle to Godot. Godot fighting his way into space. And this game is likely over. Down by 3 touchdowns. I don't know if Notre Dame can come back from this. This PAT is going to make it a 34-13 game. And we have likely just won Florida State their first national championship in over a decade. They'll come out here first and 10 from the 25. They're going to start with a pitch to the outside for 5. DeMontre Wayne, he used to be here at Florida State. He wanted to transfer out, headed off to Notre Dame, and now he is losing by 21. What a story here. I didn't even realize that DeMontre Wayne was the quarterback for Notre Dame. They're going to go with a QB sneak that gets him a first. But he has transferred out to Notre Dame, now facing his former team in the national title game. But he's down by 21. Does he have any magic moments left? He's going with a slant for 7. He's already thrown a pick in this game. Struggling to move the ball downfield, but that's 7 yards there on first down. As we approach 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, they're going with play action underneath for another first down. He's about to hit 200 yards passing as Wayne is slowly starting to find his stride here. The former 5-star quarterback who ended up decommitting from Washington to head to Florida State, transferring here to Notre Dame, throws an incompletion there on first down. Here on second down, they're going with a run that gets stuffed at the line, but he does get 2. Butts is unable to go anywhere. 3rd and 8 here for Notre Dame. Likely down to their final 2 plays of the season. Wayne's dropping back. He's going over the middle on the drag. That's a first, even he fights for more yards. As that gets him 10 down to the 41 here. Still going with hurry-up offense. Still with all 3 timeouts. Wayne dropping back once again. Going to the outside there. He's got a first down. He's inside the 20 before he gets pushed out of bounds. As that puts their star receiver, Cam Williams, at 9 catches for 122 yards. He's been Wayne's number 1 option here in this game. Now they're going back to the run here on first down, and it's stuffed at the line. Only a yard on the play as they're going back to the hurry up here. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left before our glory. They're dropping back to pass. He's looking deep into the end zone, but instead he's going to take the flat. He's going to get a first. He's going to get pushed over the line to gain. 1st and goal here from the 6. Will they go back to the run here? It's play action. He's going to the end zone wide open for the tight end. A touchdown for Notre Dame. And they respond to our touchdown with a touchdown of their own. And now this PAT will make it a 14-point game once again. Going for the onside here. It's batted down. It's kicked around and recovered by Notre Dame. Our onside recovery team has been good all season, but here in the national championship game, they slip up and Notre Dame has the ball back here. That's huge for them as they take a deep shot already across the 40. What is going on here? Things are starting to slip away as now they're going to hurry up here. 1 more play likely before the 2-minute warning. 5 seconds. They're dropping back to pass, scrambling out of the pocket here. He steps up. He's going towards the middle of the field for another first down, and we hit the 2-minute warning. 1st and 10 here for Notre Dame from about the 24. We're going to get back into the end zone once again to make this a 7-point game. He's dropping back. He's hit. He's sacked. DeMontre Wayne goes down. And now they've got to hurry things up here. A loss of 7 on first down pushes them back behind the 30. Here at about the 31. Wayne drops back. He's taking a seam shot. He's got the first down, and he gets all those yards back. As now Wayne, when we started watching this game, he was under 200 yards passing, but now he is over 300 as he's dropping back once again, going to the end zone, and it's picked off. Wayne's 2nd pick of the game is going back. This could be a pick 6 to seal the national championship, but Butts is able to track him down at the 36. All of Notre Dame's momentum is eviscerated. It is all gone. As now, with 90 seconds left in this game, we can run the ball out here, kick a field goal to get a 17-point lead, and ruin Notre Dame's season. A timeout will be taken. They've got 1 more left in their pocket. 2nd and 11 now. 90 seconds left before we lift that trophy. We're going with a play to the outside. Able to get 8 as Notre Dame will use their final timeout. 3rd and 3. A first down seals Notre Dame's fate. Where will we go here on offense? Are we trusting the freshman? Are we trusting the man who's 5th in Heisman and said they'll trust the freshman? He's going with the drag. He's got a first down, and this game is over. We will take a knee. Florida State will be national champions for the first time since 2014. The trophy is coming back home, and it only took us 5 seasons to get it done. A ton of players came in and out of this program off to the NFL, and we get it done here by a score of 34-20. We are going home victorious here in this rebuild. What a rebuild. 5 years came and went, and we are going home with a trophy, a win here for Florida State. This rebuild is over. Thank you for watching.